Chapter 701, No promise anything related to governmental office would be complicated. We can't afford to offend them. Let's just look more carefully. We can find Xianwen, definitely. What is the point of reporting to the governmental office? She was right. Commoners wanted to live a peaceful life, and they would not want to get involved with governmental office unless it was absolutely necessary. It was always easy to report to the governmental office, but no one knew what requirements they would raise in return. Things might get very complicated. Qiao Xian said, "Second sister-in-law, don't worry. My husband and I will deal with it. We will be fine." The others nodded and showed a look of jealousy. Qiao Xian was county magistrate's daughter, and when she made this promise, there should not be any complications. But Ms.Zhang still did not accept that. She sneered at Qiao Xian. "Stop pretending to be kind. Who knows what you are thinking inwardly? You never treat us well. I don't believe you. You better stay out of this." Ms. Fang shouted angrily. "Ms.Zhang, listen to what you are saying." Even second uncle could not stand what Ms.Zhang said. He told Ms.Zhang to shut her mouth. Ms.Zhang kept saying that they should not report to the governmental office. She did not trust the governmental office. Nor did she trust Qiao Xian unless Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan swore that they could get her son back. Otherwise, they were not allowed to report the case to any office. Anyone who reported the case behind her back would be her enemy, especially if her son was affected because of that. Shao Yunduan and Qiao Xian were not very happy about this. Ms. Fang sneered. "They don't want to accept your help, Duan and Ms. Qiao. Don't bother anymore. She is the mother, she has the final say." Swear. Who would dare swear on this? They all exchanged a blank look between themselves. This idea was cancelled. Those who had gone searching for the boy went home to sleep. Another batch of people started to go and look for him. The Shao family was very anxious. But by lunchtime, someone delivered a blackmailing letter. It was discovered at the gate of the yard of the second section of the family. But no one noticed how the letter reached the second section of the family. Ms. Zhang gave the letter to Ms. Niu and Ms. Yan, who could not read. So, they gave it to the first section of the family and asked Shao Yunduan to read what it said. Shao Yunduan was asleep. Qiao Xian did not wake him up but opened it herself. She was county magistrate's daughter, and she should be able to read. She opened the letter and was shocked. It was a blackmailing letter. The letter asked the second section of the family to deliver 100 liang to some place to ensure that Shao Xianwen would be safe and sound. Otherwise, Shao Xianwen would be lost forever. Ms. Niu almost passed out, crying out loudly. "Which monster did this? That is my grandson. We are not rich people, how can they come to us for this?" Ms. Zhang also put on a crying look. 100 liang, where can we get 100 liang? "Mom, please, save Xianwen first." Qiao Xian and Ms. Fang were both shocked. Ms. Fang was very intimidating, but Shao Xianwen was her grandnephew, so her heart softened. She was about to say something, when Qiao Xian gave her a wink, which made her hold back. Chapter 702, Blame. Qiao Xian said, "Second aunt-in-law, second sister-in-law, just get second uncle and everyone to return. We have found a clue, and we don't need to look in the mountains anymore. We should try to talk about how to save the child." Ms. Niu had been so anxious that she was distracted. She told Ms. Yan to get everyone back home, especially second uncle and Shao Erlang. Nis. Zhang sneered and said to Qiao Xian, "What is the point of talking about anything? We need money. We don't have 100 liang, so you should help us with it." Ms. Niu understood what was going on as well. She said to Ms. Fang, "Eldest sister-in-law, please help us this time, one can't let my grandchild get killed." Ms. Fang felt so disgusted. She was about to offer the money, but they beat her to it and were planning to let her pay the bill. They would always think about turning to her for help. What do you mean, second sister-in-law? If I don't offer 100 liang, would it be me who gets Xianwen killed? You don't have 100 liang, but can't you offer even 1 liang? Nis. Niu was about to argue back when Qiao Xian said, second aunt-in-law, let's wait until second uncle is back. Second aunt-in-law, you can go home and wait. We will be there soon. Ms.Zhang sneered at Qiao Xian, looking really annoyed. She left with Ms. Niu without saying anything. Qiao Xian raised her eyebrows. She had a feeling that Ms. Zhang did not seem to care about her missing child. Instead, she had time to hate her at this point. Ms. Fang patted her chest. Damn, how can they say such horrible words, Tallis? Qiao Xian smiled. Mom, just ignore them. We already know what they are like, right? Nis. Fang sighed and lost some anger. No. She revived herself. Will go and speak with my husband in case he really agrees to offer 100 liang. Then, she left for his room. Eldest uncle had been up for one whole night. He was asleep at the moment. Qiao Xian smiled. She was just about to ask her mother-in-law to remind her father-in-law, but her mother-in-law already had the idea. They could offer the money, but not the entire money. This needed to be handled carefully in case they did not thank them but blamed them for not being sincere. Nis. Yan had said that 2 quarters before the letter arrived, she was sweeping the floor in the yard. Therefore, the letter had just been put down. That meant that the delivery man was not yet far away. Qiao Xian used her superpower to look around. She maximized her superpower and managed to cover almost 15 miles. She was confused again. She did not see any strange man on the path, trees, or valleys. Could that person have come in a wagon? That would have drawn a lot of attention. Suddenly, she realized something. Could the delivery man be from the same village? Only that would make sense. The person dropped the letter and sneaked home. So, she could not find that person at this moment. Chapter 703, No evidence. She could not replay the past with her superpower. She could only try to catch the suspect red-handed. Qiao Xian suddenly had an idea flashing across her mind. Did Ms.Zhang arrange everything herself? She was totally startled. That could not be possible. It would not be the case, right? But when this notion hit her mind, Qiao Xian started to get skeptical. Ms.Zhang could take Shao Xianwen away without letting anyone notice that. She also seemed to have such a good sleep the night before. She even insisted that the first section of the family should never report the case to the governmental office. Most importantly, she was the one who found the letter, whilst no one had any idea how the letter arrived at the door. Ms.Zhang could just bring out the letter herself, secretly. She had been crying loudly, but she did not seem to be very worried about her son. On the other hand, second uncle and Shao Erlang were very anxious and looked heavily struck. It was the same for Ms. Niu. Ms.Zhang even had the time to blame her and kept stressing about the 100 liang. In modern society, science and technology were vastly developed, and there were many strange cases and hot topics going on in the society. In many cases, results turned out to be really startling. There were enough parents who harmed their children. With those as the base, Qiao Xian subconsciously became skeptical towards Ms.Zhang. Maybe other people would not think like this. But Qiao Xian had witnessed such cases. So, she suddenly found that it was very likely, after all. But this was just her suspicion. There was no evidence for that. So, she was not going to say it out loud. Soon, Miss Fang and eldest uncle came out in the hall. They were wearing bad looks on their faces. Qiao Xian went up and greeted them, suggesting that she would follow them to the second section of the family. She was going to go with the flow to look for some anomalies. It seemed that her father-in-law suggested offering 100 liang to get back Shao Xianwen, whilst her mother-in-law must have argued with him over that. When they reached the second section of the family, second uncle and Shao Erlang were back. Some villagers were at their place too. They kept raising some ideas. Ms. Zhang was crying about losing the grandchild and not being able to offer so much money. Qiao Xian knew clearly that they definitely could not gather 100 liang, unless Ms. Yan offered her private savings. The Yan family's business was going upwards. Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan got 80 liang when they only had 20% of the profits. In this case, Ms. Yan must have got 40 liang for her portion. Her dowry as well as Ms. Zhang's savings would add up to 100 liang. Seeing eldest uncle and Ms. Fang, second uncle's face brightened. Eldest brother, second brother, you can gather some money and we can loan you a dozen liang. But you have to tell us how you will pay it back. Before eldest uncle finished his words, Ms. Fang cut in. Second uncle got very furious. Eldest sister-in-law, are you crazy? How can you say such words right now? Ms. Fang sneered. Why not? You can't be thinking about getting money from us for free, or are you? That is not good, right? Qiao Xian smiled. Mom is absolutely right. If someone hides the child and pretends to put on a kidnapping show to blackmail us, that would make them rich conveniently, right? Chapter 704, A Weird Mother, What are you talking about? Ms. Qiao, shut up now. Second uncle and eldest uncle shouted at Qiao Xian at the same time. Qiao Xian was simply adding fuel to the fire at this time. Second uncle was furious. Ms. Qiao, what do you mean? How can you say things like that? Can anyone do anything like this? That is totally unhuman. Qiao Xian sneaked a look at Ms. Zhang's face when she said those words. Ms. Zhang was startled by these words and her face turned red. She was panicking. Soon, she tried to calm down, but Qiao Xian was more or less sure that Ms. Zhang had caused all of this herself. What a mother. But she was just a rural woman and she might have done this for the first time. So, she was not very good at putting on a calm face, thus exposing herself when asked by Qiao Xian. Second uncle, don't be mad. I should not have said those words. Qiao Xian replied calmly. But I was with my father and saw such cases in other counties, thus mentioning this out loud. A grandma hid the grandson and pretended that he was kidnapped. She forced her son and daughter-in-law to pay her so that she could use the money to help the useless younger son. Sorry, second uncle sneered. He was very angry but he said nothing more. Qiao Xian was county magistrate's daughter and she could not be lying when she said that there were cases like these. No one would be able to prove otherwise. She might be a little over the top saying it, but that was reasonable as well. Most importantly, the second section of the family did not have 100 liang, and they needed to get the money from the first section of the family. Second uncle did not care if he was getting the money as a loan. He barely had the energy to think about when or how to return the money. If he offended Qiao Xian, maybe they would not be able to get anything from them. Qiao Xian said sincerely, I think so too. Only ruthless and heartless people would use this method to get money. Such people would always get retribution, and end up badly. Isn't that right, second sister-in-law? Nis. Zhang was shocked. Her eyes became erratic. She got furious and embarrassed as she screamed. Why did you ask me this? How would I know about it? Qiao Xian stared at her. Don't you think such people should be punished? Ms.Zhang turned pale. Her lips were trembling. She dodged Qiao Xian's question and cried painfully. Parents, please, raise some money to save Xianwen first. Where is he now? He is so young and he may be suffering badly. Ms.Zhang covered her face and burst into tears. Qiao Xian could tell that she was panicking already. Qiao Xian left the money discussion to Ms. Fang, who would never let the second section of the family take advantage of them. Also, if Ms. Zhang had planned this, Shao Xianwen should be safe. Ms. Zhang just needed money. She would not kill her son. Qiao Xian gave Ms. Yan a look, and two of them left the room. In a quiet corner, Qiao Xian asked. Fourth cousin-in-law, did second cousin-in-law ask second aunt-in-law for money these days? Ms. Yan was startled. She wondered why Qiao Xian would say so. But Nis. Yan replied clearly. She did ask a few days ago. Second sister-in-law asked her for 10 liang, saying that her mother's family needed it desperately. She claimed that it was a loan and second brother's salary would cover the payback. Chapter 705, My Words a Mess. Yan sounded sarcastic. Her family's business was doing well, and they had expanded the scope. They were very busy these days, and the profits were plentiful. The whole family was very motivated. Therefore, Shao Erlang was hired to work there as well. Shao Xilang had been promoted to become a manager. Shao Xilang was paid 3 liang a month, and he only gave 2 out of those towards the shared savings, and kept 1 for their own use. Shao Erlang was not as well treated as the son-in-law of the Yan family, and was working as a minor employee. He was paid according to how much he worked. His salary was no more than 2 to 3 qian a month. Ms. Zhang had only paid half a month's shared savings and was already asking her mother-in-law for 10 liang for her mother's family. She even said that Shao Erlang could pay that back with his salary as if his salary was huge. More importantly, Ms. Zhang came to her twice and asked her to tell her mother's family to promote Shao Erlang as a manager. In this way, he could be paid more and work less. She turned her down and Ms. Zhang was very irritated by her. Qiao Xian asked again. Did the second aunt-in-law give the money to her? Ms. Yan looked amused. Of course not. I even heard the second sister-in-law blaming the second brother in secret. Qiao Xian sneered. Good. Her mother's family needs money and her mother-in-law refuses to help. She must be feeling really annoyed. When she had the grudge and needed money, it would not be strange if she had some weird ideas in her head. Ms. Yan. That was true. But she felt that her fifth sister-in-law was implying something else. Qiao Xian smiled. Fourth cousin-in-law, I have some guesses, but I can't say those out now, because I am not sure if I am right. Fourth cousin-in-law, please don't share my words with anyone else. Ms. Yan felt relieved. She nodded with a smile. Don't worry, fifth sister-in-law, I will keep my mouth tightly sealed. Qiao Xian could not tell Ms. Fang about this and instead mentioned her guess to Shao Yunduan. Shao Yunduan seemed really calm hearing her words. He believed her instantly. Qiao Xian was surprised. She smiled. Darling, you believe me. Shao Yunduan smiled. Your words have a ground, and I think that your guess is quite possible. You aren't the kind of person who spreads rumors. Qiao Xian felt sweetness in her heart. Good. One don't need to explain a thing. Darling, what do you think we should do about it? Shao Yunduan said, Elle will get second cousin and Shao Xiaoqi to keep an eye out on Ms. Zhang's family. Ms. Zhang can't be the only one planning this. Ms. Zhang would not be able to carry it out alone. Moreover, she would not combine forces with someone outside the family. She needed to keep her reputation. If someone outside the family knew about her plan, she would have no way to keep her head up in her life, ever again. So, she had most probably done this with the Zhang family. If they monitored the Zhang family, they may find something interesting. Qiao Xian smiled. Thanks for your efforts, darling. Soon, 100 liang was gathered. Ms. Niu had to offer 20 liang and Ms. Fang lent them the remaining 80. Shao Erlang and Shao Xilang would need to pay back Ms. Fang with their money every month in the years to come. Ms. Niu and second uncle cared about their grandson, so they had to agree to the deal. When the money was gathered, Ms.Zhang went to drop the money as the blackmailer had instructed. The blackmailer told her to come alone and Ms.Zhang insisted on following the instructions. So, she set off by herself. Chapter 706, Money and the Man-Mess. Zhang and her brother had found a very good spot to make the deal. It was a long cave with 2 exits. Zhang Debao was waiting with Shao Xianwen whose hands and legs had tied, and he was gagged. The plan was that Ms. Zhang sneaked in from one end of the cave, gave Zhang Debao the money, so Zhang Debao could sneak out from the other end. Even if someone stalked Ms. Zhang, all she needed to do was to stall the stalker, so Zhang Debao could sneak away without being noticed. By that time, the boy would be back and the whole thing would end. In this way, Zhang Debao would have the money. 100 liang was enough for the Zhang family to buy 10 mu of good fields and the remaining amount should last for a long time for them to live a leisure as for the future. Ms. Zhang would definitely try to find other methods to get the money. Shao Erlang had a stable income and she would always have the means to grab some money. No one from her mother-in-law's family respected her, so she should think about her mother's family instead. She could rely on her mother's family and was going to depend on her beloved brother. But what Ms. Zhang had not predicted was that when her father was delivering food to Zhang Debao, Shao Erlang, Shao Yunduan and Shao Xiaoqi followed up and they were led all the way to the cave. Zhang Debao did not manage to escape. He, along with the money, was caught by Shao Yunduan and the others. Ms. Zhang brought her son home. Ms. Niu cried badly seeing her grandson suffering from pain. Shao Xianwen, his mother and grandma all cried. It was a pitiful scene. Everyone let out a sigh of relief, and consoled each other. No matter what had happened, the boy was back, safe and sound. That was all what mattered. Soon, Zhang Debao was escorted to Shouting Village with bruises all over his face, together with the huge bag filled with money. Zhang Debao had been to Shouting Village many times, but most people from the village still did not recognize him. At the beginning, when they saw this man escorted by Shao Erlang, Shao Yunduan and Shao Xiaoqi, they were confused. They asked among themselves, "Who is this man?" Only Ms. Zhang recognized Zhang Debao the moment she saw him. Her heart skipped a beat immediately. She screamed as she rushed out. "What are you doing? What have you done to my brother?" Zhang Debao was such a coward. He was already very frightened when he was caught red-handed and beaten heavily by the angry Shao Erlang and escorted back to the village. He cried loudly at Ms. Zhang. "Please, help me, second sister, please." Ms. Zhang did not regret a thing. She shouted at her husband and tried to defend her brother. But Shao Erlang could not stand it anymore. He kicked Ms. Zhang and shouted at her angrily. "You bitch, how ruthless you are." Ms. Zhang burst into tears. Soon, the truth was revealed. Zhang Debao vomited out everything. Ms. Zhang collapsed onto the ground and shook her head constantly. No, it was not like that. But no one believed her anymore. Her denial was useless. Zhang Debao was caught red-handed by Shao Erlang with the money and Ms. Zhang had no way to defend herself. Ms. Niu got so furious that she grabbed Ms. Zhang's hair and started to beat her. "You bitch, you evil bitch. You are so ruthless. How could you do this to your own son? He is only 4 years old. You frightened him and may have even killed him." Chapter 707, Ms. Niu's Fury. Your family agreed to do something like this? Are you so poor to do such an immoral thing? Who do you think my grandson is? I am going to kill you now. The angrier Ms.Zhang was, the more fiercely she kicked Ms.Zhang. She had turned mental. Everyone was shocked by what Ms.Zhang did. No one showed any sympathy towards her. They were all looking down at her. Ms.Zhang's voice turned loud as she was kicked by Ms.Zhang. Startled, people went up to pull Ms.Zhang away. Okay, stop it. Stop it now. You are killing her. Just vent your anger and stop it. Nis. Neo panted and kicked Ms.Zhang's body hard. She sneered. She deserves to be killed. Ms.Zhang was bruised all over and she had blood around her lips. Half of her clothes had been ripped off. Her hair was unkempt and much of the hair had been torn away by Ms.Zhang. She was crying in despair and snapped angrily. What else could I do? What else could I do? You all hate me. You think I am poor and you think my family is poor. I have just one brother, the only heir of the Zhang family. I have to help him, so what? Erlang earns money and gets 1 liang a month. In this way, he can get 12 liang a year. I can surely share some of it with my brother, right? You never give me any money, not even 1 penny. What else was I to, you useless bastard, how dare you? Ms.Zhang got even more annoyed. She kicked her a few more times, cursing. For your useless brother, you set up your own son. What reason did you have to do so? She then pointed at Zhang Debao who was cringing in a corner. Is he a cripple? Does he not have any limbs? He still depends on his married sisters? Shame on this trash. For this trash, you didn't even care about your own son. Qiao Xian glanced at Nis. Neo subconsciously. This second aunt-in-law of hers did know some principles. But they were more or less the same, essentially speaking. Ms.Zhang cried even more loudly. What am I to do? My brother is weak and he can't do hard work. If something happens to him, there will not be any bloodline passed on from our family. How can you be so ruthless? You, Ms.Zhang got so annoyed. The villagers were all shocked, whispering among themselves. There would never be any girls accepted from the Zhang family anymore. Their names were ruined. No in-laws would want to accept such a girl as their daughter-in-law. After all, who would be willing to marry someone who only defended her own family? Help could be given, but there needed to be a limit. Ms.Zhang was not helping. She was supporting him. Ms.Zhang snapped. Divorce her now. Now. Write the letter and make her leave. She wants her family, doesn't she? She can get out of here and live with her own family. We don't need anyone like her at our home. They were all taken aback, but not surprised. Ms.Zhang screamed. No, no way. My children cannot be motherless. Erlang, you can't divorce me. Shao Erlang was very annoyed, but a divorce might not be necessary. Seeing Ms.Zhang's condition, he felt a little concerned. He turned to Ms.Zhang. Mom, is that a little over the top? Chapter 708, Shao Erlang's divorce, what are you hesitating for? Ms.Zhang sneered. This evil woman doesn't even care about her son. She is all for her brother. Your children will be killed if you keep her. Or are you going to make your children think that the Zhang family are their only family? My grandson doesn't need a mother like this. She can just die. Even a tiger doesn't kill its own babies. She is not even as good as an animal. Divorce her now. Divorce her. Second uncle was annoyed too. He snorted. Your mother is right. This evil woman can't be kept any longer. Who knows what other things she would do in the future? She doesn't think what she has done is wrong. Instead, she is blaming us for not giving her any money. You are working for the Yen family and you earn more than 1 liang a month. The business is growing and your salary will grow too. You can remarry any good woman you want. Erlang turned hesitant as he looked at Ms.Zhang. He had lost all affection for this woman after knowing what she did. Ms.Zhang panicked. No, parents, Erlang, please, don't divorce me. I will never do anything like this again. Please, give me one more chance. I am the children's mother, and a stepmother will never treat them as one do. What would the children do in the future? Ms. Zhang countered her. You are worse than a stepmother. Shame on you. They don't need a mother like you. This divorce has to happen. Yunduan, write the divorce paper for him. Now. I don't want to see her anymore. You don't need to worry about the children. I am still alive. No one will bully my grandson as long as I am alive. Erlang did not hesitate. He agreed and decided to prepare the divorce paper. Ms.Zhang almost passed out. She was about to get up to grab Erlang but got kicked away by Ms. Zhang. She tried to find her children to defend her, but Ms. Zhang had already sent the children into the room and let Xiaoni look after them. Ms. Zhang was begging hysterically but Ms. Zhang sneered and lectured her. Nis. Yen could not stand it any longer. She did not feel sorry for Ms. Zhang, but for Shao Xianwen and his sister. Also, for herself. If there was no divorce, she would have the excuse to live separately from her in-laws. She was not going to live under the same roof with this evil woman. Soon the divorce paper was prepared. Ms. Zhang and Erlang, together with Shao Daolong and Shao Sanlang, as well as some relatives from the same family, escorted Ms. Zhang and Zhang Debao back to the Zhang village. Ms. Zhang was not going to let this thing pass so easily, especially when Ms. Zhang made the plan with her natal family. She was still annoyed after divorcing Ms. Zhang. She needed to tell everyone about it. She was going to let the whole village know what the Zhang family was like, in case they became the one who got blamed for separating a mother from her children. It was a big show at the Zhang family. Zhang family's name became totally notorious. The Zhang family's seniors were also weird. They were caught red-handed by Erlang, but still claimed that the Shao family were accusing them of something they never did. Seeing Zhang Debao beaten heavily, Mrs. Zhang got so concerned that she insisted that the Shao family should pay the medical bills for him. Chapter 709, Weird Family Mess. Niu was so angry that she almost hit her. In the end, it was the land officer and elderly men from the Zhang village who came and suppressed the family, and sorted things out. As for Mrs. Zhang's claim that the Shao family accused her son of something he did not do and how they looked down at them because Erlang had money so he divorced her daughter, no one wanted to hear about it. Ms. Zhang gave birth to 2 children for Erlang, and he was not someone who just made a huge fortune. The Shao family would not set her up if she had behaved well. The cousins from the Shao family caught Zhang Debao red-handed with the money, and the Shao family had accumulated the money from different places, which was witnessed by many people in the village. The money was for Ms. Zhang to deliver to the blackmailer. But Zhang Debao got all the money, so the truth was clear. Land officers and elderly men from the Zhang village felt ashamed, especially after Mrs. Zhang's words. Seeing that Zhang Debao could not escape the blame, Mrs. Zhang started to complain that the Shao family were treating her daughter badly and they could do whatever they wanted with that woman. Ms. Zhang would not be allowed to return home, and the Shao family could take her back and deal with her in whichever way they wanted. Ms. Zhang was in tears. She kept begging Erlang and Ms. Zhang for forgiveness. Erlang's heart turned soft, but Ms. Zhang did not approve of that. This damned old woman had just cursed her and her son, and even wanted her to compensate them. She was not going to allow any of this to happen. Mrs. Zhang screamed loudly. "I don't care. I already married off my daughter. She is a part of your family now, not mine. She is not going to come back to our home, no matter what. If anything happens to her, that would be your fault. Ms.Zhang was furious by her shamelessness. She sneered. So, she is not part of your family. Then, why do you still need the money from her? Why not throw the money away? That made many people laugh. Everyone knew clearly what the Zhang family was like, after all. Ms.Zhang felt proud seeing people's reaction. We have driven her out of our family and we don't care if you take her back or not. You can do whatever you want with her. The Shao family left, and Ms.Zhang got lectured by her mother. Some villagers could not stand it anymore. The land officer lectured the family and told them to take Ms.Zhang back home. Finally, the crowd dispersed. As for what Ms.Zhang's life was like at the Zhang family had nothing to do with the second section of the Shao family. In Shaoding village. After Shao Daolong went to the Zhang village with the second section of the family, Ms. Su went into labor. Qiao Xian and Yang Xiaoni both got anxious. Ms. Fang was experienced, and Ms. Su was having her third child, so she did not have many special feelings. After the midwife came, Ms. Su soon gave birth to a son. Ms. Su had been well taken care of during pregnancy, and she was well fed too. So, the child was full term when he was born. He was chubby and lovely. Both Miss Fang and Miss Su were glad. The maids helped to carry the hot water, serve the chicken soup and put everything in order. Young Xiaoni and Qiao Xian did not really help much anyway. They were both quite distracted. Was it so easy to give birth to a baby? Chapter 710, Recommended Man. When Miss Su was in labor, they were both very nervous, far more nervous than Miss Su herself. Qiao Xian could not help but think of the scenes in the TV series that showed what childbearing was like. She was frightened. She had thought that it was going to take a long time. But the process ended soon. Young Xiaoni patted her chest, saying to Qiao Xian emotionally, "Is it so easy to give birth to a child? I am not worried anymore." Qiao Xian laughed. She really wanted to tell her third sister-in-law that it was not very easy to give birth to a child. But she gave up the thought. What was the point of frightening her? Shao Daolong was told that he had become a father again when he arrived home. So, he smiled happily. It was a warm scene in the first section of the family. Ms. Fang asked the maids to cook eggs, dyed them red and shared them with the neighbors. She even told Shao Daolong to inform Ms. Su's family. Soon, the other sections of the family came to pass on the congratulations. The neighbors also came to greet them happily. They all said that the child was lucky. He did not need to suffer a thing after he came to the world. It was said that Ms. Su was lucky to have 2 sons. 2 sons and 1 daughter, and the only daughter-in-law of the first section of the family who had children. As long as she did not go about causing trouble like Ms.Zhang, good days awaited her. All the daughters-in-law of other families were feeling quite jealous of Ms. Su. They had never expected that the first section of the family would see the light of the day. They used to mock and tease them in the village, but things were different now. Ms. Su felt very satisfied. All she needed to do was to feed herself and the child well. She did not need to worry about anything else. She even had maids to serve her water. Qiao Xian cooked dinner. She stewed chicken with wolfberries and ginseng for Ms. Shui. Although Ms. Su's delivery worked out well, still, she bled a lot. Her face was pale at the moment, and she needed to eat well to replenish her energy. Celebrations were held in the family, both for Ms. Su and for Shao Yunduan, who was provincial champion. Qiao Xian spent a lot of effort on the dinner. She made dozens of dishes, including crispy chicken, stewed lion head, braised soft-shelled turtle with ham, stuffed shiitake mushrooms, dry pot fish, blanched dried shredded tofu, etc. They were all salivating over Qiao Xian's dishes, and looked forward to the dinner, especially Shao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni, who just could not stand the fragrance. News spread around very fast. When the first section of the family had just finished the dinner, many people from the other sections of the family arrived. Nis. Yen said with a smile, "El heard that the fifth cousin made it to recommended man. Is that true? Congratulations." Ms. Yen asked the question, but the news was already out. How could it be false? Everyone from the first section of the family was shocked. Oh yeah, they almost forgot. Under normal circumstances, if Shao Yunduan and Qiao Xian returned the night before and brought them this good news, Miss Fang would have definitely shown it off across the whole village, including to the second and the third section of the family. Her son brought honor to the family. She was definitely going to be very happy about it, and would definitely show off. Chapter 7:11. No argument, but Shao Xianwen went missing and Ms.Zhang, the culprit, was caught and driven out of the family. Then, Ms. Su gave birth to the baby. Everything happened all together and distracted them. So, everyone from the first section of the family forgot about this great news. They had not spread it out to anyone. This news came from the young village. Miss Fang smiled. Yeah, it is true. Yunduan is ranked first in the exam. He is the provincial champion. I should have told you earlier, but guess we all forgot about this since too many things were distracting us. Ms. Yen smiled brightly. That is fantastic. Congratulations, eldest aunt. Fifth cousin has really boosted our family's name. Miss Fang loved to hear that. She laughed. Very true. Ms. Niu and second uncle felt quite distressed. But since the first section of the family helped a lot with what happened to Ms.Zhang, they could not change their attitude too fast. So, they had to force a smile and offer congratulations. Ms. Ma and third uncle were different. Ms. Ma was sour. She threw a look at Ms. Yen and snorted. Ms. Yen, what are you so happy for? It is not your husband who made it, right? You don't even have anyone in your family who reads. Ms. Yen was not angry and smiled instead. Fifth cousin's success as the recommended man brings honor to our family, so, of course, I am very happy about it. Being able to read is a talent. We don't have it, but maybe our children will. Nothing else matters, as long as we can live a happy life. Ms. Niu did not like what Ms. Ma said, so she echoed her daughter-in-law's words. True. Third uncle said with jealousy evident in his voice, now you have cleared the examination, maybe you can teach your brother. If he can become a cultivated talent, that would bring double honor to our family. Yeah. Ms. Ma snapped. In fact, you should have taught him earlier. Eldest uncle felt very guilty. He added. Third brother and third sister-in-law, it is not too late now. As long as Liulang likes it, Yunduan would be willing to teach him. If we have 2 recommended men in our family, it would be glorious. The 2 brothers can help each other too. Yunduan, tell your third uncle and third aunt-in-law about it. Shao Yunduan shook his head at his mother, who was about to say something. Sure, as long as sixth cousin is willing to take help from me, one would be willing to do that. That was true. In fact, he had tried to help Shao Liulang back in college, but Shao Liulang believed that he was better than Shao Yunduan and never wanted to listen to his instructions. He even tried to argue unreasonably with him. The argument was so boring that Shao Yunduan decided to leave Shao Liulang alone. He would only help him if he came over willingly. Third uncle and Ms. Ma were not very happy hearing that. Ms. Ma snapped. What is the point of saying this now? It is too late. Shao Yunduan. He did not argue back. Nor did he get angry. Ms. Yen was watching the scene. She felt disdainful inside her heart. It was the parents' fault anyway. Third uncle snapped. You can't just make empty speech. You have to put it into action. Promise that you can help Liulang become a cultivated talent next year. Ms. Fang sneered. Are you joking, third brother? Promise. There can never be any promise like this. Don't be ridiculous. Chapter 7:12. Better be kind. Xiao Xian added, third uncle, do you think the imperial examination is a joke? Even excellent masters can't make any promises, and you are asking my husband to make a promise. Anything can happen in the examination, so why do you think my husband can guarantee anything for you? Ms. Fang said, exactly, stop talking nonsense if you know nothing. Ms. Fang had worried that if her son and Liulang, who studied together, both failed to make it to cultivated talent, the couple from the third section of the family might take out their frustration on them. However, she had not planned to argue back. But the couple's unreasonable behavior was becoming intolerable. Ms. Fang could not contain her anger any longer and sneered, I'll remember someone always boasting about how Liulang was smarter and better learned than my son, and always getting praised by the teacher. That same person claimed my son's studies were a waste of money. Now, you blame my son for not teaching your son. Liulang never listened to my son before. You wouldn't even let my son teach yours. You said my son was arrogant and a bad influence on Liulang. You're all being ridiculous. Honestly, if you don't want to congratulate us, then don't. But mocking us serves no purpose. Qiao Xian managed to smile reassuringly at her mother-in-law. Don't feel mocked, Mom. My husband is already the provincial champion, and he's definitely going to participate in the spring examination. He'll become an advanced scholar soon enough. Ms. Fang beamed at her daughter-in-law's words. That's great news. Nis. Ma, however, was seething with jealousy. Becoming an advanced scholar isn't easy, you know. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. Qiao Xian shot back, we're not counting chickens, third aunt-in-law. We're speaking auspicious words. Or do you not want us to succeed? Ms. Fang couldn't resist a dig at her husband's family. Look, your brother won't even let his own son succeed. It's a shame, really. Eldest uncle, uncomfortable with the tension in the room, struggled to find the right words to say. Ms. Fang's lips curved into a sneer as third uncle expressed his dissatisfaction. Elder sister-in-law, don't try to turn us against each other. I just want someone from the Shao family who can be successful. Our son studied with your son at the same school, he is not bad either. Why didn't he make it? So I would like to ask you what is wrong with our son. Ms. Fang responded coolly, oh, then you can ask him if you want to, but don't mock him. My son is a recommended man and soon he will become an advanced scholar. By that time, he would be an officer, and you had better treat him nicely. Third uncle and Ms. Ma were left speechless. And their anger was mixed with fear. They knew that humiliating an officer was not a joke, and Ms. Fang was not one to take things lying down. Even second uncle and Ms. Nyo's expressions changed, sensing the tension in the air. Ms. Fang dismissed them with a wave of her hand. It is getting late, you can go home if you don't have anything else to do here. As the two sections of the family left, they exchanged a look between themselves and parted their ways. Third uncle and his wife seethed with anger, while second uncle and Ms. Nyo felt distressed. It was a bad day for them, while the first section of the family had two pieces of good news at the door, making the comparison all the more irritating. Chapter 7:13. Revenge on the Zhao family. When good fortune smiled upon the first section of the family, and their coffers were flush with cash, they knew they had to throw a grand banquet to celebrate. The next day, Ms. Fang discussed the matter with Shao Yunduan and Qiao Xian, who gave her free rein to plan the festivities as she saw fit. Ms. Fang was thrilled with the opportunity to take charge and make the event as lively as possible. Shao Yunduan, however, had other concerns on his mind, about the Zhao family. That wretched Zhao Guanghua had already tried to harm his third sister-in-law. Xiao Yunduan wasn't going to let him get away with it so easily. Yang Liang and Ms.Zhang had already been punished for their involvement in the scheme, but Zhao Guanghua should face consequences as well. As they discussed the matter, young Xiaoni couldn't help but feel a sense of sadness. Shao Sanlang tried to console her and reminded Xiao Yunduan in an angry tone, "If it weren't for you, fifth sister-in-law and fifth brother, things could have been far worse. Xiaoni may have escaped the trap, but her reputation could have been forever damaged. We should never forgive that despicable man. Fifth brother, I know I'm not capable and not clever enough to handle this. So please, help me beat that bastard when he's caught." Shao Sanlang pleaded with Xiao Yunduan. "Don't worry, third brother. We are family, and I will handle this. I won't let the Zhao family get away so easily," Xiao Yunduan assured him. Zhao Guanghua and his father were despicable people. Although Yuezheng Xiao had helped temporarily resolve the issue, Xiao Yunduan was determined to put an end to it once and for all. People with narrow-mindedness and a deceitful nature were always causing trouble. Xiao Yunduan planned to completely remove the Zhao family from their lives for what Zhao Guanghua did to them. After breakfast, he and Qiao Xian went directly to the county magistrate's home. Instead of confronting the Zhao family directly, they were going to use the Qiao family to deal with them. Since County Magistrate Qiao owed Qiao Xian a lot, the couple had no qualms about utilizing him to solve the problem. County Magistrate Qiao had already heard the news from the province that there were only 2 recommended men from their county, and one of them was Xiao Yunduan, who was the provincial champion. This news made County Magistrate Qiao very pleased, as Xiao Yunduan was not only his son-in-law, but also an accomplished scholar. That made County Magistrate Qiao very glad. Finally, he had one son-in-law who was a provincial champion. Provincial champion's achievement had already guaranteed him a place in the next level of the spring examination, provided that he passed the test based on his own merit without any interference. Excited by the news, County Magistrate Qiao laughed heartily and expressed his emotions to his wife. One did not expect that Yunduan would be so excellent. "I have misjudged him before." Madame Qiao forced a flattering smile, but her true feelings were betrayed by her gritted teeth. When County Magistrate Qiao finished his emotional speech, Madame Qiao smiled and said, "Why didn't Yunduan tell you about his talent? You could have helped him if he had revealed this to you. I wonder why he keeps his abilities a secret from you, old master. He doesn't even tell you about participating in the examination," and Xian is the same County Magistrate Qiao's smile faded, and he appeared a little displeased. However, he knew it was not the time to humiliate Xiao Yunduan. Chapter 714. What if Xiao Yunduan had the dumb luck and made it to Advanced Scholar and ranked high again? What if he became recognized by some important figure in the capital? What if, well, you never knew, what if, he couldn't help feeling uncertain about his past treatment of Xiao Yunduan. He had never been kind to him. Now he could understand why Xiao Yunduan might have kept his talents hidden from him. It seemed perfectly reasonable that he would conceal such a secret. Thinking about these, County Magistrate Qiao suddenly felt less saddened. He spoke up, "Let's not dwell on the past. Instead, we should focus on the future and treat our family well. When they come to visit, we should welcome them with open arms. As for Xian, she calls you mother and you should guide her properly, so that she knows I am her father and can work for me. This would benefit her and her family in the long run." Madame Qiao felt a wave of disgust wash over her. That bitch was calling her mother, she did not deserve a thing of it. She had previously tried to sabotage her own marriage with a promising fiancé, but now Xiao Yunduan had become the provincial champion. What if, just what if he went on to become the national champion as well? No, that seemed far-fetched. How could she even consider such a preposterous idea? Xiao Yunduan had no wealth to go further than this. The most he could do was to reach the level of advanced scholar. But even if he was an advanced scholar, that was still a blow on them. And her husband was paying attention to them now, which was totally unacceptable. Madame Qiao smiled kindly and replied, "Of course, old master. I will make sure to treat them well and give them good instructions. I trust your judgment." Officer Qiao felt very gratified and satisfied. "Oh, I've noticed that Xian's wardrobe is a bit lacking. We should provide her with some nice garments and accessories to show her that we appreciate her new position," said Officer Qiao. Madame Qiao's anger boiled inside her, but she kept a calm exterior. She was seething with rage inside. Good ornaments and garments for that woman. She didn't deserve any of them. And didn't her husband remember that she had already sold off her good garments and ornaments for money? The few ones I have right now are all my precious ones. Why should I give them away to Qiao Xian for free? Madame Qiao thought to herself. Old master, I think it might be better to wait until after the spring examination before we do that. What do you think? She suggested, trying to delay the decision. Madame Qiao was not convinced. She tried to overturn the suggestion. Officer Qiao replied. No, that would be too late. It is the right time now. Madame Qiao cursed to herself inwardly. But she had to force a kind smile. Yeah, right. I will arrange everything. Okay, Officer Qiao smiled. Elle will have our strategists spread the news and ask them to join us the day after tomorrow. You should get ready for the reception. Let the kitchen prepare plenty of dishes and arrange a courtyard for them to rest comfortably. Madame Qiao almost felt like throwing up blood. She clenched her hands around her handkerchief and forced a smile through gritted teeth. Okay, old master, she said through the forced smile. Officer Qiao got really satisfied, finally. Once he was gone, she couldn't contain her rage any longer and took it out on the nearby teacups, shattering them into pieces, panting heavily in anger. Chapter 7:15, Utter Anger, Bitch. Auntie Ling expressed sympathy towards her mistress. Her mistress had apparently put in a lot of effort for nothing. It's all right, Madame Qiao. There's still a lot more to come, Auntie Ling consoled her, asking the other maids to clean up the scattered items on the ground. He's just a recommended man, not yet holding an official position. We don't know what he'll be like in the future. The old master is just pleased with him at the moment, and you can just comply with his orders for now. There's no need to let it upset you. Madame Qiao composed herself and let out a sarcastic laugh. You're absolutely right. I was foolish to be upset. The old master is the real fool here. He treats a simpleton as a prized possession. How can someone so dull succeed in the future? He'll be overwhelmed by the distractions of the capital and fail his exams. Madame Qiao, you are right, agreed Auntie Ling. The exchange between the mistress and the maid helped calm Madame Qiao's nerves. She then instructed Auntie Ling to tidy up a courtyard, arrange for some shopping, and send for Qiao Wei. Madame Qiao was particularly concerned about Qiao Wei, who had a low tolerance for injustice. She knew that Qiao Wei would be outraged when she heard what had happened and needed to be pacified first. As expected, Qiao Wei was furious upon hearing the news. That's impossible. How can a poor cultivated talent become a provincial champion? The examiners must have been blind or he cheated. Qiao Wei exclaimed. Madame Qiao became nervous and said, Stop talking nonsense. Qiao Wei only dared to complain in front of Madame Qiao. She knew better than to mention such ridiculous things. Qiao Wei snapped, Dad wants us to treat them well and prepare good gifts and news for that woman. And we're supposed to teach her too. She doesn't deserve any of this. Madame Qiao had a headache and said, That's your dad's order, and we can't let him down. I disagree. Why can't we let him down? My brother is working at Hanlin Academy. Dad won't do anything to us just because that man got lucky and became a recommended man. Save your breath. Everything is temporary, and we will get through it eventually. When your dad knows what they are really like, he will just kick them out without us doing anything. You need to be patient and try to endure it, or things will become very difficult for us after your marriage. There will be many obstacles along the way. Try to behave well in front of your dad and give her some of your nice ornaments. Qiao Wei was initially persuaded, but her anger resurfaced when she was told to give Qiao Xian some of her ornaments. She adamantly refused. No. She doesn't deserve my things. I would rather throw them away than give them to her. And I don't want to pretend to be her beloved sister. Madame Qiao attempted to calm Qiao Wei down and advised her to develop the ability to accept people she didn't like, especially for the sake of her father. She emphasized that this skill would come in handy when she eventually married her husband. She explained that if Qiao Wei acted kindly towards Qiao Xian in front of their dad, he would treat her better in the future. After much persuasion, Qiao Wei reluctantly agreed, but she knew deep down that she couldn't force herself to genuinely like her sister. However, she promised to avoid causing any trouble and to behave civilly towards Qiao Xian for the sake of their father's happiness. Madame Qiao sympathized with her daughter's predicament and acknowledged that changing her attitude towards Qiao Xian would not be easy. She also agreed with Qiao Wei's complaints. To ease the situation, Madame Qiao instructed Auntie Ling to inform concubine Du and Qiao Ko about the new developments, so they could all be on the same page and not worry about any further issues for the time being. Chapter 7:16. No offense. Auntie Ling relayed Madame Qiao's message to concubine Du and Qiao Ko, who understood what was expected of them, to give Qiao Xian a hard time and mock her. Once Auntie Ling had left, the mother and the daughter exchanged an irritated glance between them. For one thing, they were very frustrated that Qiao Xian's husband had advanced to the next level and even the old master had begun to take notice of them. Qiao Xian had suddenly become an important figure in the family. For another, they were frustrated that Madame Qiao was putting them in a difficult position by asking them to give Qiao Xian trouble. They were unsure if this would really impress the old master. However, they also knew that refusing to comply with Madame Qiao's wishes could have negative consequences for them. They depended on her for their livelihood, and they didn't want to risk falling out of her favor. It was a dilemma for them. But Madame Qiao had given them an order, and they couldn't just pretend to be sick to get out of it. Madame Qiao would not have accepted their absence. "Mom, they're treating us like tools." Qiao Ko gritted her teeth, feeling a burning hatred for Madame Qiao and Qiao Wei that surpassed even her feelings towards Qiao Xian. She became even more determined to sabotage Qiao Wei's marriage. Concubine Du sneered in agreement. "We're just like servants, tools for their entertainment." Qiao Ko cried. "I am also Dad's daughter." Concubine Du let out a deep sigh of relief. "So you have to find a good husband, and only in this way will you be able to overthrow the situation you are in now." So, they knew they had to tread carefully around Madame Qiao for the time being. Offending her could mean risking their chances of finding a good husband and potentially causing themselves more trouble. Look at Qiao Xian. The reason Qiao Xian was able to rise to her current position was pure luck. No one had expected it to happen, and her success cannot be replicated. If it were to happen again, concubine Du could not guarantee that her own daughter would have the same stroke of luck. Perhaps it was premature to rely on luck for success. After all, Shao Yunduan was merely a recommended man and not particularly significant. Concubine Du was not willing to take any chances and risk her daughter's future. "Leave it to me, forget about it." Qiao Ko nodded, agreeing with her mother's decision. In truth, Qiao Ko was not bothered by Madame Qiao's opinions of her. She knew that their father would soon return to the capital, and he would not allow Madame Qiao to arrange a marriage for her at this time. Qiao Ko was determined to ruin Qiao Wei's marriage when they returned to the capital. She had never relied on Madame Qiao to find her a good match, so she wasn't concerned about offending her. However, she also knew that it was best not to provoke Madame Qiao in case their life got worse. As the family was still making their own plans, Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan unexpectedly arrived at the door. Madame Qiao sneered upon hearing the news, the couple really knows when to come. We have misjudged them before. Auntie Ling had not yet finished tidying up the courtyard at this moment. Officer Qiao was pleased with the timing of their visit. It could only mean one thing: Shao Yunduan was trying to curry favor with him, otherwise he wouldn't have been so eager to see him. This time, Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan were warmly welcomed by Officer Qiao. He patted Shao Yunduan on the back, engaging in friendly conversation as if they were close family. Shao Yunduan adopted a humble attitude mixed with a respectful tone, indicating that he had not informed his father-in-law about his participation in the exams because he was afraid of failing. Chapter 7:17. Problem. Officer Qiao felt relieved and his happiness grew even more. Meanwhile, in the backyard, Madame Qiao received Xiao Xian along with Qiao Wei, concubine Du, and Qiao Ko. There was a subtle tension in the air. In the past, concubine Du had constantly mocked Xiao Xian and looked down on her with disdain. But now, the time was different. It was Qiao Wei who seemed the most annoyed, sitting stiffly in her chair with a neutral expression. Qiao Ko sat with her eyes lowered, lost in thought. Even Auntie Ling and the other servants were treating Qiao Xian with more respect and kindness than before. Qiao Xian couldn't help but think that power and status were truly practical. Her husband had only become a recommended man, yet the Qiao family and the people in the village were treating her differently. Even those who they often socialized with were now more polite and cautious around her. Even the once arrogant members of the second and third sections of the family retreated slightly when they heard about Shao Yunduan's potential future as an officer. It was no wonder that throughout history people had pursued power, and yet many lost themselves after obtaining it, falling deeper into the abyss. Shao Yunduan remained calm and clear-minded, his gaze gentle and smiling as he looked at Qiao Xian. But she couldn't help but feel a bit confused about how long this gentleness would last. She felt that she should trust him. But she felt that she should always keep a clear mind as well. Madame Qiao said warm congratulations to her, emphasizing the importance of family, and encouraged Qiao Xian to visit often, especially since her husband was now part of the government and would be mingling with different people, like ladies and important madams. She reassured Qiao Xian that she could always come to her for advice if she needed it. We are a family, and we should share the honor and humiliation together and look into the future, Madame Qiao added. Qiao Xian replied politely and briefly, "Thank you." She made a mental note to distance herself from the family as soon as she could. She was going to find the opportunity to break up with them instead. Concubine Du spoke, showing a false smile. "Second miss, you are very lucky, you have married a recommended man. You should thank Madame Qiao for setting you up with such a great husband. You should definitely thank her and respect her." Qiao Xian smiled. "You are right, concubine Du, don't feel jealous of me. Madame Qiao is always kind, and treats us equally. I am sure she will find a great marriage alliance for the third sister." Concubine Du, who had intended to just pretend, became annoyed hearing Qiao Xian's words. "You talk too much, second Mississippi." Qiao Ko sneered. "It's none of your business, concubine Du." Qiao Xian maintained her innocence. "I am just speaking the truth." "Is there something wrong with that? I can stop if it bothers you." Madame Qiao shot concubine Du a disapproving look, silently cursing her behavior. After laughing at Qiao Xian, concubine Du found herself on the receiving end of her own words. Qiao Wei, unable to hold her tongue any longer, spoke up. "Concubine Du is right, you are quite talkative. Perhaps you've become arrogant." After all, your husband is just a recommended man, far removed from the true halls of power. Even if he does manage to advance, he'll likely be left to drift alone without anyone to help him. In a few years, no one will remember who he is. Chapter 7:18. Bleeding Qiao Xian was displeased with the way Qiao Wei belittled Shao Yunduan. But she knew better than to argue with her hot-headed sister. Instead, she calmly interjected, "I beg to differ, sister. My husband is not just a recommended man, but also a provincial champion, the first one in the whole province. That is quite an achievement. My husband will have a great and promising future." Qiao Xian expressed her pride. Qiao Wei was visibly annoyed. "A promising future." Qiao Xian interrupted her before she could finish. "You don't think so? That was what my father said about him just now." Qiao Wei. "Indeed, he is young and talented, with a very promising future ahead of him," Madame Qiao said with a forced smile. "Oh, and by the way, I have some beautiful garments and jewelry that I would like to give to you, Qiao Xian." She quickly motioned for Auntie Ling to bring them out. Despite her polite words, Madame Qiao's heart was heavy. She didn't really want to give any gifts to Qiao Xian, and had originally planned to buy some cheap ornaments from a street vendor. Dozens of liang for some exquisite ornaments and a few garments should be enough. However, Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan arrived unexpectedly, leaving Madame Qiao with no time to buy new items. Reluctantly, she had to go through her own collection of jewelry. She spent a long time picking out a large pearl hairpin and a green jade bracelet, which were worth more than 300 liang combined. The garments were silk with golden edges. When Auntie Ling arrived with the items, Concubine Du, Qiao Ko, and Qiao Wei were all fuming with annoyance. How could Qiao Xian, a mere woman, be gifted with such items? She didn't even deserve the right to receive them. Concubine Du and Qiao Ko felt their hearts breaking. Even if they did not have such beautiful hairpins and bracelets, which should be worth more than a few hundred liang in total. Even Madame Qiao and Qiao Wei had few such items. Concubine Du's most expensive golden bracelets with some rubies were not even worth 100 liang, and Madame Qiao had scraped them away from her later. Qiao Xian almost burst into laughter seeing this. So rare that Madame Qiao offered stuff to her. She was definitely going to take them. She would not wear them. She would put them away in her space and pawn them later for money. After all, she knew the true value of these ornaments, and it was not just a few hundred liang as she believed. She had more savings than all of these together. And she had many ornaments and garments too. She herself did a lot of shopping in the province. She had bought proper clothes and some exquisite ornaments. She put them away for collection so she could use them in the future. Moreover, First Madam had given her many other wonderful things. Those were genuinely precious and valuable. The ornaments with ruby and sapphire alone were worth 5,000 liang. The hairpins had pearls that were flawless and large as one huge longan fruit. What Madame Qiao offered were insignificant in comparison. Madame Qiao smiled as if she were giving Qiao Xian the best things ever, as she ordered Auntie Ling to deliver them to Qiao Xian. Qiao Xian thanked Madame Qiao and reached out for the items, accidentally revealing the emerald bracelet on her wrist. Madame Qiao's expression became tense and the others also noticed it, becoming uneasy. Concubine Du smiled and asked, "Second miss, did you acquire that bracelet on your own? It looks very valuable." Chapter 7:19. Pretentious Xiao Xian smiled proudly, showing off her bracelet. "Oh, this," she said, rolling up her sleeves to reveal her pure white wrist. The translucent bicolor jadeite bracelet stood out against her skin, creating a pleasing contrast. "First Madam gave it to me," she continued. "Her Auntie Hua told me it's worth around 10,000 liang and asked me to take good care of it. Breaking it would be such a pitiful thing." It was a gift from First Madam, you know. But for my husband who makes it to provincial champion, one would not have put it on. Madame Qiao's expression turned sour upon hearing this, and the others were envious of Qiao Xian's prestigious gift. Even concubine Du was impressed by the value of the bracelet. The others all gasped in disbelief. What? Worth 10,000 liang. You must be joking. Elle can't believe it either. Qiao Xian simply smiled and replied, I was just as surprised as you are. But Auntie Hua wouldn't deceive me. 10,000 liang is a small sum for the Yuezhing family, isn't it? There's no need for her to lie about it. Madame Qiao felt a pang of envy and jealousy hearing Qiao Xian's casual tone when talking about such a large sum of money. She cursed inwardly, calling Qiao Xian pretentious. Madame Qiao knew that she herself didn't even have 100 liang to her name, so hearing someone talk about 10,000 liang as if it were nothing only made her feel more inferior. Even the old master, with all his wealth, did not have savings of more than 10,000 liang. But soon Madame Qiao was attracted by the Yuezhing family. You said the first madam gave you this. Why did she give you such a precious gift? Qiao Xian smiled. Young Master Yuezhing and my husband are good friends, and he likes him. First Madam invited us to visit her at her mansion, so she gave this to me. Madame Qiao's heart sank at the realization. You were at their mansion. The Yuezhing family was known for their wealth, power, and influence. Madame Qiao had always hoped to establish a connection with them, but they had never even set foot in their home. And now, Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan were already their guests. The provincial champion was so precious like this. Yes, yes. Qiao Xian nodded and continued, the Yuezhing family is truly grand. The carved beams and painted buildings, along with their exquisite furnishings, leave one absolutely dazzled. The spices smoked in First Madam's room alone cost 100 liang. Their garden is also vast, adorned with a plethora of flowers and trees. There is an old camellia plant called 18 bachelors that is said to have cost thousands of liang to buy. And then there are the many famous orchids, all cultivated in their glazed greenhouse, worth tens of thousands of gold. The others were all speechless as they listened to Qiao Xian's story. Gradually, Madame Qiao began to believe her words. However, she couldn't help but wonder how Qiao Xian knew so much about the trees and decorations in the Yuezhing family's mansion. She had never been there and had no knowledge of such things. It seemed that Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan had managed to get close to the Yuezhing family in some way. Feeling jealous, Madame Qiao was still trying to make a plan of how to use this relationship. Qiao Ko felt a surge of irritation. The glazed windows are from the Yuezhing family. That can't be right. Your husband wasn't even a recommended man back then. Are you telling me that you were already friends with the Yuezhing family? Qiao Xian nodded with a smile. Yes, young Master Yuezhing and my husband have been friends for quite some time now. The glazed windows were a gift from them. They had many unused things at their home, and my husband is a modest and low-profile person who doesn't like to boast about such things. Chapter 720, Madame Qiao's anger. My husband doesn't like to flaunt his connections. People who do that could never be true friends with young Master Yuezhing, Qiao Xian said. Qiao Ko felt as if her sister was indirectly criticizing her. Madame Qiao's jealousy continued to grow, and she could no longer remain calm. It was obvious that Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan had been friends with the Yuezhing family for quite some time. If only they had known about Shao Yunduan's friendship with the Yuezhing family, they wouldn't have needed to worry about money at all. They used up all of their savings and even forced wealthy people to lend them money, tarnishing their own reputation. At that time, they thought Shao Yunduan was just a minor manager who couldn't even hold a conversation with young Master Yuezhing. Madame Qiao quickly dismissed Qiao Xian's story as bragging, believing that Shao Yunduan must have been a nobody in young Master Yuezhang's eyes back then. She thought that the two only became closer after Shao Yunduan became the provincial champion. Madame Qiao became increasingly annoyed. Was the title of provincial champion really that precious? Shao Yunduan was just a man from a poor family, and after he became the provincial champion, he became so well received. And this woman Qiao Xian was also raised in status. Madame Qiao took a deep breath, feeling optimistic about the situation. She believed that they could benefit from the Yuzheng family and acquire some wealth before returning to the capital next year. They would need fine clothes and jewelry for their trip to the capital, so they wouldn't be looked down upon by others, would they? And they would also need money to give bonuses to the servants, as well as presents for everyone in the mansion and their relatives. They would need money to host banquets and entertain guests. Madame Qiao's constant need for money frustrated her even more as they had none. Her covetous gaze fell upon Qiao Xian's jade bracelet, reflecting her greed. In the privacy of their conversation, Qiao Wei was never one to hold back her thoughts, especially regarding her sister's behavior. The jadeite bracelet on Qiao Xian's wrist was a beautiful and noble piece, with excellent color and crystal clarity, resembling an emerald green lake. Take off the bracelet and let me see it. Qiao Xian hesitated, I'd rather not. I don't want to risk damaging it. It's a gift from First Madam, and I should keep it safe. If you want to see it, you can come and view it yourself. Qiao Xian knew that if she took off the bracelet and showed it to Qiao Wei, she would never get it back. Everyone loved this kind of beautiful bracelet. Qiao Xian, what do you mean? You think we will take this into possession? Qiao Wei shouted angrily. Qiao Ko despised Madame Qiao and Qiao Wei, but pretending to be generous, she added, Second sister, we are all sisters, and this beautiful bracelet is too precious to keep to oneself. You can give it to elder sister as a token of our family's unity. It might even please First Madam to see us getting along so well. Or do you not want to offer it to us at all? Qiao Wei gave Qiao Ko a very praising look. She was right this time. Qiao Xian burst out. Of course one don't want to. One never see anything good, unlike you who always have good things to wear. So I need to keep it up. Qiao Ko. Qiao Wei flushed out of utter anger. She did not need to care a thing when no one outside the family was here. Chapter 721, Officer Qiao's opinion. She was determined to maintain her own reputation, and being turned down like this made her unhappy. You are very short-sighted. Qiao Xian retorted. You are right, sister, I am not as good as you. Qiao Wei. Madame Qiao suggested, First Madam gave this bracelet to you as a gift, so you should take good care of it. Double Ninth Day is approaching, and you should visit her to show your gratitude. We can all go together. Qiao Wei understood Madame Qiao's intention and decided to stop harassing Qiao Xian. Yeah, Qiao Xian was rude and dumb, and even she could make First Madam happy, and could she? Thought Qiao Wei. She thought to herself that if she could please First Madam more, she might receive even better gifts in the future. She was fortunate to have a promising husband, but without him, no one would be willing to associate with her. Madame Qiao continued to inquire about the Yuzheng family. Qiao Xian also advised Madame Qiao to pay close attention to Ms. Mi Jr. and Yuzheng Ting. She wondered what would happen if they met. Qiao Xian looked forward to that. Madame Qiao found Qiao Xian's practicality impressive and started to warm up to her, even becoming kinder. Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan were invited to stay for lunch. Officer Qiao ordered some high-quality dishes from a nearby restaurant while they waited for the food to be prepared. He was very hospitable and sincere in welcoming the couple. After lunch, as Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan left, Officer Qiao and the rest of the family saw them off happily and praised Shao Yunduan as the best son-in-law. Madame Qiao felt inwardly annoyed at this. What did Officer Qiao say about the Zhao family? They had just got onto the donkey cart when Qiao Xian asked. Yunduan stiffened and thought of how his father-in-law treated him so earnestly. He smiled and replied, "Officer Qiao was very hospitable, and he even advised us to be careful. He mentioned that the Zhao family has been causing trouble lately, and that he has been wanting to take care of them for a while." Qiao Xian, good, that saves us a lot of trouble. Yeah, true. They did not care much about how it was done. As long as the Zhao family could be removed, anyway would be fine. The Zhao family had to be removed. Soon, there was going to be a lovely show. After they left, Officer Qiao couldn't help but admire Shao Yunduan's charisma and charm. Despite not being overly enthusiastic in his demeanor, he found Shao Yunduan to be an impressive and outstanding individual. He felt very satisfied with his son-in-law. Later on, Officer Qiao spoke highly of Madame Qiao for finding such a remarkable son-in-law for their daughter. Madame Qiao agreed reluctantly and changed the topic to the Yuezhing family. What happened in the past did not matter much, but at this moment, she was willing to do whatever it takes to get closer to them so that they would never have to worry about it again. First, Madame gave Qiao Xian a bracelet worth 10,000 liang, so the Yuezhing family must be very rich and generous as well. Officer Qiao instantly came up with much motivation after hearing that. Knowing that it was all for nothing, they might have been infuriated. However, Qiao Xian wouldn't have brought up the first madam to Madame Qiao if it hadn't been for her mentioning her first. Chapter 722, Fair and Square. First Madam was very curious how on earth the couple were. She could meet Madame Qiao to see what on earth was going on with the family. After all the Yuezhing family was too far-reaching for Officer Qiao. Officer Qiao's usual tactics for dealing with wealthy individuals in the county did not apply to the Yuezhing family. During a conversation with the couple, Qiao Wei abruptly interjected, "Second sister never socializes and she should have given you her bracelet, Mom. It was selfish of her to refuse." "Okay, Wei." Madame Qiao glanced at her daughter and sighed emotionally, "I'm fine. That bracelet is exquisite and of a high grade. It could be worth more than 10,000 liang. If we sold it, we could use the money for old master's business, and we would have much more spare money." Officer Qiao nodded in agreement, but he couldn't help feeling greedy. But he decided not to talk about this. Xian has never seen such nice things, so it's understandable that she likes it. We can talk about it later. Madame Qiao also noticed her husband's interest in the bracelet and smiled before saying, "You're right, there's no need to rush." Officer Qiao nodded in agreement, as he had more pressing matters to attend to. He couldn't help but harbor a grudge towards the Zhao family for being so miserly. They had only lent them a few thousand liang, and even old Master Zhao had claimed to be out traveling just to avoid meeting with him. While Shao Yunduan might want to seek revenge and eliminate the entire family for his own gain, Officer Qiao did not share the same perspective. He had no intention of taking such drastic actions. But, he would be leaving for the capital next year, so he saw no point in worrying about it. Officer Qiao consulted with the strategist and inquired about strategies to uncover any illegal actions committed by the Zhao family. By doing so, he could have their enemies report them to the office for a fair trial, leaving the Zhao family powerless. Given the many terrible things the Zhao family had done, it would not be hard to expose their wrongdoings. Shao Yunduan and Qiao Xian speculated that Officer Qiao would use this method to deal with the Zhao family. Shortly after, Officer Qiao made the announcement and everyone became aware that Shao Yunduan was the provincial champion. This was an unprecedented occurrence, as there had only been a few recommended men from the county but never a provincial champion. The whole county got excited. Everyone started to ask around who Shao Yunduan was. Manager Qin from Mingrentang spoke the loudest. As a good friend of the provincial champion, he talked about how interesting the champion was, bringing attention and reputation to Mingrentang. Meanwhile, Minghua College found itself in an embarrassing situation. The three teachers were feeling uncomfortable. They were just cultivated talents, while Xiao Yunduan was now a provincial champion. They knew they would have to show respect to him whenever they met. The memory of how the college forced him out and failed to set him up kept them embarrassed and anxious, fearing that Xiao Yunduan might seek revenge against them. Chapter 723. Going there, the three teachers complained to each other, but they could not come to a decision. As a result, individuals who possessed strong moral values and knowledge began to question whether the three teachers were unsure about their situation. There was even talk of them considering attending a different college in the next county rather than remaining at their current college. It was widely known that Xiao Yunduan was forced to leave due to the influence of teachers who had been bribed by Zhao Guanghua. However, most people did not pay much attention to it. Nonetheless, this incident raised concerns about the ethical conduct of the three teachers involved. Interestingly, after leaving, Xiao Yunduan went on to become a provincial champion. This essentially implied that the teachers not only had poor ethical standards, but their knowledge was also questionable. Therefore, there was little incentive for the students to remain at the college. The students discussed this matter discreetly, without intentionally concealing anything, which was not entirely hidden from the teachers' knowledge. Before long, the three teachers became aware of these discussions. The teachers were both infuriated and humiliated by the students' discussion, but they were powerless to act on it. They argued amongst themselves discreetly and feigned ignorance. However, deep down, they knew that the future of Minghua College was bleak. The students were not only planning to leave, but they also intended to extend their congratulations to Shao, the recommended Nian, in the village, hoping to receive some valuable guidance from him. Hopefully, that would bring some auspiciousness to their future. The teachers were feeling increasingly dejected. Although the students did not take any overt action, their mere presence served as a constant reminder of the teachers' transgressions. The teachers attempted to act as though nothing had occurred, but the atmosphere remained tense. Meanwhile, Xiao Yunduan was not one to hold a grudge and was pleased to receive the students' congratulations. But what about them? Should they visit him or not? The teachers were hesitant to visit Xiao Yunduan in case they were met with humiliation, but they felt it would be disrespectful not to pay their respects to a former student of Minghua College. Moreover, they hoped to receive Xiao's blessings, and perhaps establish a relationship with him that could prove beneficial in the future. If they could mend the bridge with Xiao, it could potentially lead to valuable connections and opportunities. As for the three teachers, they discussed amongst themselves and came to the conclusion that saving face was not as important as maintaining a good relationship with Xiao Yunduan. They gathered the students and, on behalf of the college, visited Xiao with gifts. The teachers would join the group naturally. However, when the college was discussing the visit, Liulang had already rushed home, feeling annoyed and humiliated. He found the whole situation to be incredibly irritating. "Fifth cousin, I thought you said you weren't taking the exam. Why did you go ahead and participate anyway? You lied to us." Liulang accused Xiao Yunduan, storming towards the first section of the family with a tone of anger, as if Xiao Yunduan had committed a wrongdoing. "Hey, Liulang, be careful with your words," Ms. Fang intervened, defending Xiao Yunduan. "Yunduan is a recommended man and a provincial champion, a respected scholar. You should show him some respect or you might face consequences. Don't forget, he has achieved a higher level than you ever will." Liulang was taken aback by Ms. Fang's stern words and was at a loss for words. There was a saying that went like this, and Liulang knew he needed to respect it. He had to admit that his cousin had achieved a higher level of education and success, and had become a different man from the one he knew before. Chapter 724. Why angry Liulang's eyes were widened. He difficulty burst out the following sentence. "Elder aunt, I asked you if fifth cousin went for the examination, and you told me he did not. You were lying to me as well." Qiao Xian almost burst into laughter hearing Shao Lulang's interrogation. What on earth was he focusing on? Whether or not her husband had gone for the examination had nothing to do with him. And he was provincial champion already. What was the point of asking about this anyway? What was he angry about? In what position was he angry for what, anyway? Must her husband stay at home for his sake, just because he failed the examination to become a cultivated talent? He asked her mother-in-law about her husband's participation, and got glad when hearing a negative answer. Qiao Xian did not think that lying to him was wrong. Instead, she felt so lucky to have told her mother-in-law not to tell that to this man. Or this man would have done something unexpectedly terrible. Ms. Fang didn't back down from what Shao Liulang had said. Well, at that time, it wasn't appropriate to say anything. If Yunduan had failed, it would have been embarrassing for him. So I kept it a secret. But as it turns out, he's a provincial champion now. Ahahaha. Shao Liulang. L should not have lied to you. But I did that for a purpose, also, that did not hurt you, did it? Why are you annoyed by this? You should be happy that your cousin is a provincial champion. You can ask him for advice if you have some academic questions, right? You should focus on studies, do you? Eldest uncle consoled him. Yeah, Liulang, don't be anxious. You are smart and diligent, I believe that you can make it as well. For sure. Stop it, elder uncle, Shao Liulang vented his anger. I'll know what you're implying. Cousin is capable, and you don't need to tell me this. You toyed with me and lied to me. There's no need to talk with you anymore. With that, Shao Liulang stormed off, leaving eldest uncle behind, who tried to catch up with him. Liulang, please, don't be angry, he pleaded. But Shao Liulang ignored him and kept walking. Ms. Fang, on the other hand, paid no attention to elder uncle and turned to Shao Yunduan with a gentle smile. Don't worry about him, Yunduan. He seems to have lost his mind after reading too many useless books. Let's celebrate your achievement instead. Eldest uncle happened to hear that. Shao Yunduan nodded and smiled. Qiao Xian smiled in agreement. It's all right, I am happy to do it. We have double happiness coming to our door, and it's a joyous occasion to celebrate. Ms. Fang also nodded, yes, we must host the banquets well. Qiao Xian, you have much work to do to receive the guests. Don't worry, Mom. Leave it to me. Tao Tao, my third sister-in-law, and the maids will work together. You are the mother of a provincial champion, a highly esteemed senior member of the family. Ordinary guests do not deserve to meet you. They should automatically come to pay their respects. Chapter 725, Regret Mess. Fang was very amused. Oh my. That is not what I am used to. You should, Mom. You will meet even better things in the future, that is your fortune. Ms. Fang laughed. Okay, let's all share the fortune. Thank goodness you are here, so I am not feeling that unsure anymore. Qiao Xian added. Don't worry, Mom. I will get everything well arranged. Shao Yunduan looked at these two women, gently and smiling. Sure enough, the strategist and publicists arrived to congratulate Shao Yunduan. The announcement of his becoming a provincial champion caused a great stir in the first section of the Shao family. People flocked to offer their congratulations. Land officers and elderly men from the clan led Shao Yunduan to the ancestral hall where he paid tribute with tears of pride. There had never been a recommended man from the village before, and Shao Yunduan was the first to obtain the title, which was a great honor for the whole village. Villagers, friends, and relatives, as well as businessmen from the Yuezhing family such as Manager Qin and Manager Dong, and even businessmen from other villages, all came to offer their congratulations and establish relationships with the family. Qiao Xian had attended many banquets with the first madam and had learned some basic manners. She led young Xiaoni and Tao Tao to receive the guests, and they were also trained in the proper etiquette. The maids helped everything run smoothly, ensuring that everything was in proper order. They were so well-mannered that even some businessmen who didn't think of the Shao family as important couldn't help but adjust their attitudes and show full respect. Despite being just a farmer's family, the Shao family's manners impressed everyone. And with Shao Yunduan's young age and provincial championship title, he was sure to have a bright future. It was clear that befriending people like this would be beneficial for their own businesses and futures. Most of the guests were male, and Shao Yunduan's page boy, Songsher, was there to assist Shao Sanlang and Shao Xiaoqi in receiving the guests. Manager Dong even offered some of his employees to help, which Shao Yunduan gratefully accepted and asked them to stay with the Shao family for the time being. When the three teachers from Minghua College and their students arrived, Shao Yunduan received them with calm and polite demeanor. However, he maintained a polite and composed demeanor when interacting with the teachers, without showing any excessive familiarity or respect towards them. To Shao Yunduan, only Master Yun was truly worthy of admiration and respect, as he was a man of great talent and integrity. While the college teachers were knowledgeable and ethical, they were not particularly outstanding in Shao Yunduan's eyes. Despite being expelled from the college, he had no intention of causing a scene or holding any grudges against them. As long as they could interact peacefully, it was enough for him. The teachers were reassured to see Shao Yunduan receiving them with composure and without any signs of mockery or aggression. They had initially feared that he might pick on them or make fun of them, but were pleasantly surprised to find that he treated them with respect and dignity. Despite feeling relieved, the teachers couldn't help but feel guilty and regretful for their past behavior towards him. They wondered why they had treated him so poorly before. Feeling embarrassed, they didn't stay for too long and left after having just 2 cups of tea. County Magistrate Qiao's strategist also attended the event and brought people to boost Shao Yunduan's reputation. The Shao family received all of their guests at the door, except for those from 2 particular families. Chapter 726, pretending one of them was the Zhao family, who had wronged the Shao family before. The Shao family found it odd that the Zhao family would come to their door bearing gifts. Did they really believe that a few presents could erase their past transgressions? Zhao Guanyin, the housekeeper, as well as 2 servants from the Zhao family arrived with elaborately wrapped gifts. The first section of the Shao family became furious upon hearing of the guests' arrival. Nis. Fang shouted loudly, "How dare you come to the door? Get out of my place." Shao Sanlang punched directly at Zhao Guanjin's face. "You are staining our floor. Get lost, now." Zhao Guanyin was totally confused, asking sternly in a mess. "When did we offend you? You are over the top, how can you punch us for no reason? So what? We did not punch you at your door because we don't have time. If you dare come to us, we will punch you every time you do." Shao Yunduan sneered coldly, "Are you putting on a dumb show, young Master Zhao?" "Well played." Zhao Guanyin was even more confused than angry. He knew that something must have happened. "I really don't have a clue, then you can ask when you are at home." Shao Yunduan interrupted him. "Leave now, or we will continue to punch you." Faced with the intimidating demeanor of the Shao family, Zhao Guanyin left in a hurry without saying a word. On his way back, he couldn't help but ask his housekeeper, did second young Master Zhao do something to offend the Shao family again? The housekeeper remained silent, trembling with fear from the encounter at the Shao family's doorstep. Zhao Guanyin couldn't help but wonder if the housekeeper was aware of something that he wasn't. The housekeeper suggested, "Perhaps you should ask the second young master himself, he might know what is going on." The Zhao family had 1 head housekeeper and 2 deputy housekeepers. This particular deputy housekeeper served Zhao Guanyin exclusively and was promoted by him. He was treated differently from the other two housekeepers and was somewhat alienated from them. He only focused on carrying out tasks assigned to him by the first young master, and disregarded anything else that happened in the family. So he was not in a position to comment on old master and second young master's behavior. Zhao Guangyin got angry. "Spill it now." The housekeeper sighed emotionally and spilled the story, in a staggering way. What happened at the Yang village was a huge thing, and it was solved directly on the spot. Young Xiaoni was fast, so she did not even run into Zhao Guanghua. Also, Shao Yunduan was provincial champion, and when he decided to take Yang Xian's side, no one dared to spread the rumor about Yang Xiaoni at all. Or things would have gone worse. This kind of thing would always turn ridiculous and fall beyond the truth, when it was spread around. Women always became the victim of the topic. Zhao Guangyin really had no idea about this. He was busy with business and fields and Hazus. He had no time to care about family affairs. Also, the second young master was very wild and no one dared to spill the secret to anybody else, or tell him about this humiliation. Zhao Guangjin's heart sank, as he said, shivering. How could this have happened? Was he mental? How dare he do this? He already has 3 maids serving him, isn't it enough? He even dared to steal a married woman. Why didn't you tell me about this before? Zhao Guangyin felt so annoyed as his face turned red. He was getting very anxious at the moment. Chapter 727, No talk about second young master. It's no surprise that the first section of the Shao family looked at him strangely, that Shao Sanlang punched him, and that recommended man Shao treated him coldly. How could he have even considered stealing a married woman? Such an act was unforgivable, especially considering that Shao Yunduan was the provincial champion and his wife was Officer Qiao's daughter. Officer Qiao might not have paid attention to Ms. Zhang before. But things were different now. Zhao Guangyin felt coldness going through his body and his heart almost stopped throbbing. He felt desperate. The housekeeper smiled bitterly. With his head lowered, he did not dare defend anyone, he did not dare to say anything about the second young master. In his position, the deputy housekeeper remembered that the first young master had to intervene and tell the second young master to stop. The first young master explained that the second young master was like that, and his orders needed to be followed, or he might seek revenge quickly. That was why he never stepped forward to help when the second young master started to give him a hard time. Young master only consoled him and gave him 5 liang. He accepted the money and thanked the first young master. There was nothing else he could do about it. He was just a deputy housekeeper, and he could not do anything about that. After that incident, the deputy housekeeper made a conscious decision to pretend not to know anything about the second young master's actions. When the first young master asked him about it, he remained tight-lipped. Why should he reveal any secrets? He did not want to become the target of the second young master's anger. Instead, the first young master would allow the second young master to vent his anger before defending him and putting an end to it all. He was uncertain whether the first young master's approach was the right one, but he knew he didn't want to be the target of the second young master's temper. He had already suffered enough and didn't want to shorten his lifespan due to this. However, the situation was complicated. The second young master had caused a lot of trouble, and the Shao family was not known for forgiving easily. If the matter was not resolved properly and the Shao family did not forgive them, the Zhao family might run into significant trouble. Zhao Guangyin felt so distressed. But his father was not at home. So he had to ask someone to get his father back and try to fix it all. At the Zhang village, Ms.Zhang had just been divorced and sent back to her mother's family when news broke that Shao Yunduan had become the provincial champion. Although Shao Yunduan was from the first section of the family, those from the other sections were also considered family, and they should have benefited from his success. They would never have to worry about food and clothing again. Ms. Zhang and her family were dumbfounded by the news, and Mrs. Zhang became furious, shouting and even striking her own legs. The Shao family is bullying us. They looked down on us and divorced our daughter. I won't stand for this. Chapter 728, Ms. Zhang's Intention. Mrs. Zhang lashed out at both the Shao family and Ms. Zhang. You're so useless. You've been married to them for so long, given birth to a son and a daughter, and they still drive you out of the family. What good are you anyway? Ms. Zhang couldn't hold back her tears, and they began to trickle down her face as she sobbed. She didn't even dare cry in front of her mother because she knew she would only be met with more cursing and beatings. Zhang Debao, meanwhile, had forgotten about the punches he had received from the Shao family and joined in. Yeah, the Shao family is terrible. They drove the second sister out of the family on purpose. Why must we be bullied? Second sister has given birth to the lineal children of the family, and they can't just ignore her completely. Mom, send the second sister back to the Shao family. The Shao family was now flourishing, and Mrs. Zhang knew that if she could somehow remain connected to them, her family would surely benefit from it. There was no point in staying at her own home since she wasn't earning any money. Ms. Zhang also shared the same intention of returning to the Shao family. She missed her children and her husband and had to admit that her life at her mother-in-law's home was much better than her life at her own home, despite her mother-in-law's constant scolding. Mrs. Zhang agreed with her son's suggestion and said, "That's right. Let's go back to the Shao family. If your wicked mother-in-law still refuses to accept you, then go and plead with Shao Erlang and your children. You gave birth to them, and they should listen to you. If you can't even control your own children, then what's the use of you being here at home all day?" Nis. Zhang couldn't bring herself to look up and speak. She was doing her best to stay close to their uncle, but her children hardly ever saw him, and they didn't believe her words. Meanwhile, her mother-in-law kept giving her chores to do, leaving her with barely any time to take care of her children. As they talked, Mr. Zhang chimed in, "Why rush into things? Let's wait a bit longer. We've spoken with the land officer and elderly men, and they've promised to help us out. According to the old saying, marriages should not be broken up without good reason. Our daughter hasn't done anything wrong, and the land officer should intervene on our behalf." Mrs. Zhang nodded in agreement. She felt reassured by her husband's words. The next day, Mr. Zhang went to the land officer and the elderly men and asked for their assistance. To their relief, things went more smoothly than expected. They all agreed to help, seeing it as a way to strengthen their own community ties. What was more, Shao Yunduan was the top-ranked candidate and likely to enter the government office soon. Having a relative like Ms. Zhang in their family would certainly be advantageous for the Zhangs. So, the land officer and other villagers from Zhang village accompanied Ms. Zhang to Xiaoni village. However, they were unsure whether she should first return to the second section of the family or visit the first section to offer congratulations. They agreed to visit the provincial champion first. It was always better to approach with a smile than to be turned away. Relatives and friends were already visiting the Shao family to offer their congratulations, so the Zhang family should do the same. The provincial champion would surely accept their well wishes, and if they were accepted, then Ms. Zhang would be accepted too. Chapter 729, Ms. Fang's Annoyance. If they could just express their regrets and offer apologies, perhaps the second section of the Shao family could accept Ms. Zhang completely. Although Mrs. Zhang initially did not want to apologize, Mr. Zhang insisted, and she had to oblige. After all, it was the Zhang family's fault for being caught red-handed by Shao Erlang, so an apology was necessary. Despite her reluctance, Mrs. Zhang kept her objections to herself and agreed to apologize. When the Zhang family arrived at Xiaoni village, they went straight to the first section of the Shao family. Many guests had already visited to offer their congratulations and kind words. Thus, when the group from Zhang village arrived, the first section of the Shao family happened to be free to receive guests. As the group approached the door, Songshe, who was standing guard, was startled by their size and hurried off to inform the family. Ms. Fang, eldest uncle, and Shao Yunduan all came to greet them, but their expressions darkened upon seeing that the group was from Zhang village. The land officer and the elderly men from Zhang village offered their congratulations and kind words to Ms. Fang, who responded politely. Eldest uncle even invited them inside the house. However, Ms. Fang shouted, "Hang on!" She threw a cold look at Ms.Zhang. "The Zhang family must not be here. We don't accept such evil women. She is staining our floor." Ms. Fang had always disliked Ms.Zhang, and after what Ms.Zhang did to her son and got divorced, her resentment grew even stronger. She glared at Shao Yunduan and Shao Xiaoqi, blaming them for meddling in her family affairs and causing her so much trouble. She even wished them a miserable life. Ms. Fang's grudge against Ms.Zhang remained deep. Ms.Zhang and the Zhang family may have regretted their actions, but it was too late to make amends in Ms. Fang's eyes. Mrs. Zhang was so annoyed. "We are relatives. We have no vicious relatives like you. Ms. Zhang is divorced and you have just accepted the letter. We have nothing to do with you." "What?" Glaring back at me. "What are you thinking? Throwing temper at my place?" Shao Yunduan added. "Mom is right. The Zhang family are not ethical people and we have nothing to do with each other anymore. They are not accepted to our door. But the others are welcomed inside." But, Mr. Zhang's expression turned to anger, although he tried to maintain a smile on his face. "Recommended man Shao, we are here to pass on our congratulations with sincerity. My daughter used to be your sister-in-law, and as a scholar, you should understand the importance of proper etiquette." "Of course he does." Ms. Fang sneered. "That's why we're not associating with you. Sister-in-law. She is not." "If everyone follows your example and comes to my door uninvited, am I supposed to welcome bandits and hooligans as well? This is not proper etiquette, and it's tarnishing our family's reputation." Qiao Xian added. "Mom is totally right." Young Xiaoni nodded. "Yes, absolutely right." The land officer and the others exchanged a look between themselves, feeling quite embarrassed. They had not expected the conversation to turn this way. Trying to ease the tension, the land officer smiled and spoke up. "Ms. Zhang made a mistake, but even saints make mistakes and learn from them. Perhaps she deserves another chance. She has been doing well in her current home, raising children, respecting her in-laws, taking care of her husband and household duties. She is a diligent person." Chapter 730, Rejection. What do you say we go inside and discuss this in private? After all, we're here to congratulate and discuss the family affairs of Ms. Zhang and Shao Erlang, and it's unfortunate that a family has been broken up. The children are still so young, and Ms. Zhang isn't a criminal, right? Eldest uncle had a kind heart and was mindful of his reputation, so he couldn't bear to see the Zhang family begging for forgiveness at the door. The land officer's words only added to his discomfort. He was about to ask the guests to come into the door. Yes, we can talk in the room, because I feel it is not easy to talk it through clearly within a short while." "Oh yeah, that is great. The Zhang family are not welcome inside," Ms. Fang retorted sharply to eldest uncle. Her expression turned even darker as she continued, "Yunduan is now a provincial champion and our family has a good reputation. We cannot allow these types of people to ruin it. Not just the Zhang family. But anyone like them should never be allowed into our home." Shao Yunduan added, "I'll agree with my mother. Land officer Zhang and elderly men, that's what I meant." The others hesitated and turned to eldest uncle for his decision. Feeling annoyed that his wife and son were publicly humiliating him, eldest uncle responded, Yunduan may have achieved success, but we cannot turn away villagers. While we are not related, we can still treat them as guests and offer them hospitality. You old man, how dare you accept such a despicable family? Are you happy to see Yunduan's reputation tarnished? Ms. Fang exclaimed, her anger boiling over. She stomped hard on the floor in frustration. Why do you call us despicable? It is your whole family that is despicable. Your family divorced our daughter and now your son has become a recommended man. You think you are of a higher class and we are beneath you. Ms.Zhang continued, her voice rising with each word. If you didn't like us, your family should never have married our daughter. She has given birth to children for the Shao family and worked for you for so many years. And now, you are just driving her away. How can she be summoned and dismissed so easily? Our daughter was a complete woman before she married into this family, and she would never have done such a thing if not for you. She is a sister, and it is her duty to help her brother. What is wrong with that? How could you force her to make that mistake? You made her do it. Mrs. Zhang's voice was raised, her anger palpable. Elle spared no efforts to raise a daughter and gave her to your family. She was just trying to help her brother. What is wrong with that? She continued. We are not finished with this. We will not be bullied. Everyone present. Young Xiaoni's eyes widened as she listened to the argument. She spoke up quietly, but that's not right. Second sister-in-law, or rather, Ms. Zhang, you were the daughter-in-law of the second branch of the family, not ours. Why are you complaining here? And I have never seen a mother treat her son like this. How can such a mistake be seen as something positive? Your family is really scary. Qiao Xian snorted, my husband being a provincial champion has nothing to do with you. The announcement was made by the county, not us. And Ms. Zhang's mistake and subsequent removal from the family has nothing to do with my husband's success either. Chapter 731, Not Deserving. Elle cannot believe you had the audacity to call my mother horrible. You were the one who made the first mistake by coming to our home and insulting us. If you dare to set foot in our house again today, we will ensure that you face utter humiliation. Young Xiaoni said, very right. Everyone present. Ms. Fang snorted, and glanced proudly at the two daughter-in-laws of hers. Things were different now. She was safeguarded by people as well. No one could bully her anymore. Mrs. Zhang was so annoyed. How? The others exchanged glances, their expressions filled with disdain as they directed their disapproval towards Mrs. Zhang. They regretted believing Ms. Zhang and now questioned her character, especially considering the behavior of her children. Agreeing to accompany them here to reconcile with the Shao family was a grave mistake, and they couldn't help but feel humiliated by the whole situation. Qiao Xian had recently dispatched someone to summon the second section of the family, telling them that the Zhang family had returned with demands for money. Their intention was to use the first section of the family's assistance as leverage against the second section of the family, coercing them into making a deal. Ms. Niu had always been irritated by Ms. Zhang's actions, but her irritation had now transformed into intense hatred. Ms. Zhang had not only stolen from them to provide for her own family but had also manipulated her own son. When news reached Ms. Niu that the Zhang family was attempting to gain control over the second section of the family through the first section, her anger reached its boiling point. Fueled by fury, Ms. Niu approached the Zhang family and directed her scathing words directly at them, not holding back her contempt for Ms. Zhang and her actions. Ms. Niu firmly informed the Zhang family to cease their harassment, emphasizing that they had no chance of marrying someone like Ms. Zhang, regardless of Shao Erlang's potential future remarriage. Unable to contain her frustration, Mrs. Zhang engaged in a heated argument with Ms. Niu, their confrontation on the verge of turning physical. The land officer, growing exasperated, developed a headache. He could no longer tolerate the situation and bid a forced, polite farewell to Shao Yunduan, swiftly escorting the Zhang family away. Ms. Niu spat in their direction before storming off, seething with anger. Peace and quiet descended once again, prompting a collective sigh of relief from the first section of the Shao family. The Zhang family's incessant arguments and disruptive behavior earned them a reputation for being unreasonable, noisy, and bothersome. Eldest uncle strongly disapproved of their conduct and emotionally expressed, "Yunduan, you are the provincial champion. You should treat the villagers with kindness and not forget your roots or mistreat them." Upon hearing eldest uncle's words, Miss Fang couldn't help but express, mistreating them. She found his remarks about her husband unjust. Are we expected to consider an immoral woman like Ms. Zhang as family? The Zhang family is far from virtuous, especially when their children are raised to behave this way. That old woman even cursed at me. Do you think I should just smile and tolerate such behavior? They are not worthy of being considered our fellow villagers. What are you even saying? Ms. Fang retorted vehemently. Dad! Shao Yunduan interjected, feeling helpless. I am just a provincial champion, not even holding a significant position. It is premature to discuss forgetting one's roots at this stage. Many people harbor jealousy towards me and secretly plot against me. We should never associate ourselves with individuals like that. We should never have any connection with the Zhang family and the Zhao family. You never know what they are plotting. If you find it unbearable, then stay out of the limelight. Don't interfere in anything related to me, Dad. Ms. Fang reassured him, Duan, don't worry. I am here. I will never let anyone like them tarnish your reputation. I won't forgive anyone who tries to harm you. Chapter 732. Officer Qiao. Shao Yunduan felt a warmth in his heart and nodded. Mom, thank you. Ms. Fang smiled and replied, don't mention it. It's nothing. Eldest uncle felt a sense of isolation, and his heart felt empty. He began to lose interest. He felt unjust. As a father, he didn't intend to harm his son. He only wanted Yunduan to improve so that the whole family could prosper. Yunduan was a recommended man, and he needed to be modest and cautious to avoid giving people a reason to gossip. Those words wouldn't be well received. The Zhang family's behavior was excessive, but the land officer was not entirely wrong. The children were still young, and Ms. Zhang's preference for her mother's family was her only mistake. If she were at the door, she must be feeling guilty about it. She could make a promise to never do it again, so why be so harsh? He genuinely wanted the whole family to live in harmony. Why was there nobody who understood him? Eldest uncle's heart felt heavy with sadness. However, little did he know that Shao Yunduan had never aspired to be a passive and docile man. He would never back down in the face of injustice. The Zhang family harbored malicious intentions, and he earnestly wished for the second section of the family to sever ties with them soon. As the date for the banquet was finalized, the entire Shao family became immersed in preparations. They were making arrangements for hosting 50 tables at the banquet. They planned to invite the affluent businessmen who had come to extend their congratulations, the professors and students from the college, as well as relatives, friends, including Manager Qin and fellow villagers. Initially, they had prepared 50 tables, but realizing it might not be sufficient, they decided to add 10 more. With the banquet just 4 days away, Shao Yunduan took charge of writing the invitations, while Manager Dong and Qi were assigned the task of delivering them. Shao Yunduan personally informed the county magistrate about the upcoming banquet but made the decision not to send him an invitation. He explained that the event was expected to have a large number of attendees, and the presence of the county magistrate might create a formal and restrained atmosphere, preventing guests from celebrating freely. However, Yunduan assured the county magistrate that if he returned to the county with Officer Qiao later, they would be treated separately and accorded the appropriate hospitality. Officer Qiao was pleased to hear Yunduan's considerate decision and commended him for his thoughtfulness. Initially, Officer Qiao had been reluctant to visit the countryside as it was not a place he particularly enjoyed. He had been concerned that his absence might disappoint Yunduan, but now he was contemplating what he should do in response to the situation. Yunduan took the initiative to propose the idea of not inviting the county magistrate to the banquet, which showed his thoughtfulness as a son-in-law. However, the underlying truth was that Yunduan had never intended for the county magistrate to visit his home. With the date for the banquet confirmed and invitations distributed, the preparations were set in motion. Villagers came forward to lend their assistance, and the banquet chefs were present to oversee the cooking. Since the dishes couldn't be preserved for an extended period, fresh ingredients had to be purchased on the same day to ensure the highest quality for the meal. The banquet required a total of 8 bowls to accommodate all the guests. To ensure freshness, 2 large and plump pigs were purchased and slaughtered during the night. Alongside the pigs, 60 chickens and 60 ducks were also prepared. Fresh mushrooms and vegetables from the garden were added to the menu, along with additional ingredients sourced from the villagers. With the preparations completed, they anxiously awaited the arrival of the scheduled date. However, the Zhao family unexpectedly appeared once again. Madame Zhao and her elder daughter-in-law, Miss Quan, claimed to be visiting to extend their congratulations. While Madame Zhao wore a smile, her condescending manner and choice of words made everyone uncomfortable. Chapter 733, Unknown MS. Su was still recovering in bed. Ms. Fang decided not to allow young Xiaoni to come to the door, since she was related to this incident. Taking charge of the situation, Ms. Fang herself greeted Madame Zhao and firmly declined her entry. She couldn't help but feel a sense of frustration with the Zhao family's audacity. Did they truly believe that a few women could sway her decision? Absolutely not. Their attempts to win her over with elaborate gift boxes went unnoticed by Ms. Fang. She didn't even spare a glance at them, let alone consider accepting their offerings. The Zhao family seemed to hold the mistaken belief that Ms. Fang and her family were ignorant and unaware of the world around them. However, Ms. Fang couldn't help but find their assumptions amusing. Young Master Yuezheng and young Master Xie had presented far more impressive gifts, having experienced and witnessed countless remarkable things. The Zhao family likely couldn't even compare to some of the items they possessed. With their arrogant expressions and presumptuous demeanor, these 2 women had nothing of interest to offer in a conversation. Ms. Fang had no desire to engage with them on any level. Attempting to maintain a sense of composure, young Madame Quan intervened and urged Ms. Fang to reconsider. She emphasized the importance of not becoming enemies and suggested a discussion to resolve their differences. Madame Fang, let's have a seat and talk about this. We are here to convey blessings, after all. Just let us know what you need. Qiao Xian interjected firmly, there's nothing to discuss at this moment. We are not on the same level. Please leave. Mrs. Shao, we genuinely mean well. Would you be willing to negotiate if this situation happened to your own family? Young Madame Quan found herself at a loss for words. She realized that the response she wanted to give was not something she could say in this situation. The answer was, of course, no. The atmosphere grew tense as both sides stood their ground, unwilling to back down. Madame Zhao furrowed her brow and spoke candidly, Mrs. Shao, let's be frank. My son lacks direction in life and often associates with unsavory characters who influence his behavior. That's why incidents like this happen. But no real harm was done, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't have come here to discuss it. My elder son and I have already reprimanded him, and he will never dare to do anything like this again. We have come here to apologize, Miss Fang. We are all from the same county, so let's put this behind us. Whatever you need, just say it, and we will do our best to assist you. Madame Zhao felt a pang of unease as she uttered those words. She never imagined herself stooping so low as to apologize to someone from the countryside like Miss Fang, let alone demean herself in this way. But Miss Fang's son was successful. Madame Zhao's own son had caused trouble, leaving her with no choice but to swallow her pride. Young Madame Quan chimed in, attempting to salvage the situation with a smile. Money, land, anything you desire, Nis. Fang sneered in response. Leave this place. We have no need for your money or land. We won't let our family be humiliated over such things. Stop wasting our time and leave, don't soil our land with your presence. Madame Zhao struggled to contain her anger. Then tell us, what is it that you need, if our offers are of no use to you? Madame Zhao was taken aback by the swift dismissal from the Shao family, as she hadn't expected the matter to be resolved so quickly. Miss Fang had no intention of disclosing her demands to Madame Zhao. What are you thinking? Madame Zhao inquired. I have no idea, Madame Zhao admitted. Qiao Xian interjected, well, that's your problem to figure out. We're not here to solve your issues. Mom, let's just ignore her and go home. Good idea. Chapter 734. Lucky young Xiaoni. Afterward, Miss Fang led her daughter-in-laws and daughter back into the house, leaving Madame Zhao and her daughter-in-law standing outside. The maids inside were instructed not to open the door for them, as they appeared to be quite agitated. Outside the house, a crowd had gathered, witnessing the unfolding drama. Whispers and discussions filled the air. Recognizing the sensitivity of the situation, some onlookers believed it would be best for the truth to be revealed and for everything to be clarified. By doing so, they hoped to prevent any unfounded rumors from spreading further. As the news of the incident spread throughout the village, it reached the ears of everyone residing there. This widespread awareness was also a stroke of luck for young Xiaoni. Coincidentally, during the same period, Shao Yunduan achieved the remarkable feat of becoming the provincial champion. This prestigious title commanded respect and had the power to ward off any ill intentions or troublemakers. Given the bad reputation of the first section of the Shao family for their quick temper, no one dared to provoke or offend them. Even after the incident was revealed and clarified, there were concerns that people might shift the blame onto young Xiaoni, suspecting that there must be something wrong with her. They might question why such an incident happened to her alone and make baseless assumptions about her character or circumstances. But things were different. When the villagers learned about the visitors, they all blamed the Zhao family. The audacity of the Zhao family. They have committed numerous wrongdoings simply because they have wealth. How dare they offend the family of the esteemed provincial champion? It's no wonder they are plagued by misfortune. If only they had raised their son properly. They have brought this upon themselves and deserve no good fortune in their lives. Absolutely. A family like theirs deserves to learn a lesson. We should be grateful that fate has revealed their true colors. It's utterly shameless of them to show up at our door after everything they've done. The two women from the Zhao family overheard the disparaging comments and felt a surge of fury and humiliation. Unable to bear the situation any longer, they hastily departed from the scene. Back at home, Zhao Guangyin anxiously awaited the return of his mother and wife. Seeing them arrive, he approached with concern and inquired about the situation. Madame Zhao, overcome by anger, snapped at him, "Don't make me endure such humiliation. I have lived for so long only to be subjected to this. Instead of supporting me, you are driving me to face further disgrace. How dare you let this happen to me?" Zhao Guangjin's heart sank as he realized the severity of the situation. He turned to his wife. Young Madame Quan smiled bitterly. We were even denied entry at the door. The Shao family refused to entertain any discussion or accept our gestures of apology. Madame Zhao sneered, let's not dwell on it for now. They're just putting on a show. Shao Yunduan is merely a recommended man, not an official. There's no guarantee he'll secure a government position. We must be cautious and ensure Guang doesn't become entangled in their schemes. Zhao Guangyin felt a profound sense of weariness and heartache. He was never as favored as his brother, and his mother's bias towards his brother was evident. However, he never anticipated that his mother would go to such lengths to protect his brother, even in this situation. Instead of encouraging self-reflection, she instructed him to remain indoors to avoid falling victim to any schemes orchestrated by the Shao family. But did the Shao family really need to set him up? After all, Shao Yunduan's father-in-law was none other than County Magistrate Qiao. Mom, have you forgotten about County Magistrate Qiao? Stop bringing up County Magistrate Qiao to me. Madame Zhao felt a surge of annoyance upon hearing his name. That corrupt official has extorted so much money from us. If he dares to make any moves, well, bring him down with us. Mom, he can easily deny any involvement with the money. Let's not invite more trouble. Madame Zhao was taken aback by her son's words and snapped, just leave. Stop standing there obstructing my view. Zhao Guangyin sighed and bid his mother farewell, retreating from her presence. Chapter 735. Worst case. Zhao Guangyin dismissed his servants and returned to his private quarters, where only his wife remained. Gather our most valuable belongings and secretly transfer them to your family's home. Keep them hidden and make sure no one knows about it, he instructed. He also contemplated withdrawing money from their shared savings for personal storage. Young Madame Quan was taken aback. Is it really that serious? I'm not sure, Zhao Guangyin replied with a sigh. If the Shao family were simply causing trouble, it would be easier to handle. We could offer them money and use sweet words to make them go away. But right now, they are treating us poorly and refusing to negotiate, so, young Madame Quan felt a sense of unease. She suggested, what if we ask your mother and sister to visit the Qiao family? Your sister and elder Miss Xiao are good friends, and your mother has a good relationship with Madame Qiao. If they intervene and offer to reconcile, perhaps the Shao family would back down. Zhao Guangyin found himself feeling a glimmer of hope. While uncertain of the outcome, it was worth a try. So he agreed. But Madame Zhao was unable to have the invitation delivered to the Qiao family at all. They couldn't even meet with Madame Qiao and Qiao Wei. Zhao Guangyin had to prepare for the worst-case scenario. Soon, a grand banquet was held at the main residence of the Shao family, spanning 2 days. People from Zhang village attended the feast, but the Zhang family was conspicuously absent. They knew it was best to stay away and not be present in such circumstances. Yang Liang and his wife didn't even dare to show up. However, some people from Yang village attended the banquet. The couple had become the laughing stock of the village, and they had no face to meet anyone. After the banquet, the Shao family returned to a state of calm. Shao Yunduan began preparing for the upcoming spring examination next year. Meanwhile, Miss Fang, Yang Xiaoni, Qiao Xian, and Tao Tao had some time to go through the presents they received. Qiao Xian prepared 2 booklets to list down all the items and accessories, making it easier for them to organize and find what they needed. Nis. Fang thought it was an excellent idea. Since Qiao Xian was the only literate woman in the household, Miss Fang appointed her as the person in charge of organizing the gifts. They had received a total of 2,300 liang in monetary gifts, along with various other presents such as clothing, jewelry, tea leaves, tea sets, spices, calligraphy and paintings, inkstones, paperweights, stationery, toys, jade vases, fans, screens, and more. Miss Fang was overjoyed, but she wanted Xiao Xian to select some items to share among the family so that everyone could feel uplifted. The remaining items would be stored in the storage room. Xiao Xian distributed 6 pieces of clothing to the girls, along with 3 or 4 pieces of jewelry and several decorative items for each of their rooms. Shao Sanlang, Shao Xiaoqi, and Shao Zhenyan received writing tools as their gifts. What do you think, Mom? We can definitely store these items and save them for special occasions. Whenever you want to give away presents, you can simply select some from the storage room and record it in the booklet. Ever since the completion of the new house, everyone had received a set of brand new furniture, including tea tools. They had everything they needed and lacked nothing. Miss Fang expressed her joy and praised Xiao Xian for doing an excellent job in sorting things out. Chapter 736, Shao Liulang's absence. Speaking of the writing tools, Shao Yunduan shared his plans with the villagers about establishing a school. With the expanding properties at home, it would be more convenient if everyone could read and write. This way, Shao Sanlang and the others could learn essential writing and reading skills. As for Shao Zhenyan, it was high time for him to start his journey of learning. If he could excel and become a cultivated talent, that would be truly remarkable. However, being able to read and write did depend mostly on innate gift. It was a reality that only a few people were accepted into schools and succeeded in passing examinations. Hard work alone did not always guarantee success in obtaining a government position. Even without gift, one could aspire to reach the rank of cultivated talent at best. However, having a certain title could provide better opportunities to manage and inherit properties. It was considered more beneficial to pursue lifelong learning and strive to become a recommended candidate when reaching old age. If half of one's prime years had already passed, what purpose did life serve? In truth, if a person failed multiple times in their attempts to become a cultivated talent, it might be more sensible to let go and pursue other avenues instead of persisting. Not everyone excelled in every aspect. What truly mattered was to lead a fulfilling, joyful, and meaningful life, fostering harmony within the family and cultivating a better future for the next generation. Upon hearing the suggestion to attend school, Shao Sanlang was overwhelmed with reluctance. Shao Xiaoqi, having already learned some reading from Shao Yunduan, didn't harbor as many reservations. Shao Sanlang didn't feel compelled to delve deep into studies. As long as he could comprehend contracts and agreements, he believed that would suffice. Eventually, Shao Sanlang came to terms with the idea, realizing he could navigate the process. He relinquished his initial objections. Ms.Zhang was elated by the prospect. She envisioned a bright future for Shao Zhenyan, confident that with proper guidance and education, he could distinguish himself among his peers. Witnessing the success and radiance of her brother-in-law's family, Ms.Zhang couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. The entire household was filled with a remarkable aura. If Shao Zhenyan could achieve greatness and become a talented individual, it would bring further glory to her as his mother. Though she already enjoyed a certain level of prestige, with her own relatives flattering her, the success of her own son would elevate her honor and prestige even more. Ms.Zhang held high hopes for Shao Zhenyan and the young son she cradled in her arms. She yearned for at least one of them to attain success in the future. As presents were distributed, including to the other branches of the family, Miss Fang gifted them garments, 2 rolls of tea, and some food. And in secret, Miss Yan was given a pair of gold bracelets as a token of affection. Miss Fang kindly instructed Xiao Xian to select whatever items she desired and take as many as she pleased. These items were intended for Shao Yunduan. Despite being part of the shared savings, Miss Fang displayed great generosity in offering them. However, Xiao Xian wasn't particularly drawn to these possessions, as she didn't feel a lack of anything in her life. Being treated like a daughter by First Madam, she had received numerous presents from her that were valuable and extravagant, encompassing a wide range of categories, including everyday household necessities. Qiao Xian had been graciously bestowed with an assortment of needlework supplies, including a complete set of bronze needles and threads made from silk, gold, silver, and other materials in a myriad of colors. However, Qiao Xian only chose a handful of garments suitable for her to wear in the village, along with a few ornaments. She also selected some writing tools such as ink and paper for Shao Yunduan. Content with her choices, she expressed gratitude and mentioned that she could acquire more when the need arose. Upon witnessing Qiao Xian's modest selection, Ms. Fang presented Qiao Xian with an additional bonus of 500 liang as a gesture of appreciation. Qiao Xian graciously accepted the bonus. While the first section of the family was immersed in the lively celebrations, Liulang had been conspicuously absent throughout the entire event. Rumors circulated that he had a close friend at the college who encountered some trouble, and he had gone to offer assistance. The first section of the family neither confirmed nor rejected this excuse. In fact, they seemed indifferent to Liulang's absence, showing little concern or interest in the matter. Chapter 737. Not bowing to Shao Yunduan. Eldest uncle, concerned about Liulang's absence, paid a visit to the third section of the family to inquire about his whereabouts. He approached third uncle and Ms.Zhang, expressing his desire for Liulang to return so that Yunduan could offer him assistance. Eldest uncle believed that Yunduan's connections and guidance could potentially help Liulang find success. He held a genuine hope that the two boys could achieve greatness together. Third uncle and Ms.Zhang, upon hearing eldest uncle's words, felt a surge of motivation. The stark reality they faced left no room for self-deception. They understood the importance of taking action and confronting the challenges ahead. Reluctantly, third uncle and Ms.Zhang acknowledged that Liulang could benefit from Yunduan's assistance in his journey forward. They had privately conveyed this notion to Liulang, but he adamantly refused to accept it. He was unwilling to confront the truth. Liulang held on to the belief that Yunduan would never genuinely help him. He was convinced that any aid offered would come with strings attached, reducing him to the role of a lowly servant, while Yunduan secretly mocked his efforts. In his mind, he had resigned himself to the fact that he would never receive genuine support, not even in his wildest dreams. So he resolutely refused to bow down to Yunduan. Third uncle let out a heartfelt sigh. Liulang is incredibly intelligent and well-read. However, he has encountered misfortune and failed the examination twice. It has left him feeling deeply distressed. The success of Yunduan only exacerbates Liulang's sense of guilt and sadness. Elder brother, you can empathize with his situation. If Liulang were to return now, he would face humiliation. Unless Yunduan personally goes to retrieve him and aids in building his reputation, eldest uncle sighed in understanding. He had a conversation with Yunduan about this matter. Liulang has faced numerous failures in the examinations, and as his cousin, you should understand him and accommodate his temperament. Help him to the best of your ability so that when he achieves success in the future, both of you can support each other. Wouldn't that be a marvelous thing? He may appear annoyed, but deep down, he desires to be closer to you. Aid in building his reputation and personally bring him back home. What are your thoughts on this? Yunduan smiled. Dad, if it were cousin who had succeeded in the examination today, do you think he and his parents would take care of me, understand me, or come to our door to flaunt their success? Do you still remember that when I was falsely accused by the college, he laughed so gleefully, and his parents even advised you to stop my studies because they believed I would never achieve success academically. They even suggested I work in the fields instead. But now that I have become the provincial champion, I have never humiliated or mocked him. So why does he feel so humiliated? Why should I go and coddle him, flatter him? It all seems rather peculiar. Eldest uncle felt a sense of humiliation. How can you say that? You are the provincial champion, and you can show inclusivity, but I am not going to lower myself for him. He is not deserving of it. Dad, just let go of everything and enjoy your happiness. Eldest uncle stood there in silence, unable to utter a word as he watched his son walk away. He sighed deeply, feeling a profound sense of hurt. Why was there no one who understood him? He meant no harm. All he wanted was for everyone to do well. Yunduan was experiencing success now, and he had a good chance of advancing further in the spring examination. He even had a supportive father-in-law who could assist him on his journey. A bright future awaited him. He had everything he needed. But why couldn't he show inclusivity and encourage Liulang to strive harder? Why get caught up in trivial matters? Chapter 738, shocked he wasn't losing anything by being inclusive and supportive. What was the significance of losing a little face? Why did he have to be so critical and create unnecessary trouble in life? Eldest uncle felt overwhelmed by distress. Once the affairs at home were settled, Shao Yunduan and Qiao Xian paid another visit to the Qiao family. County Magistrate Qiao received them warmly, particularly Shao Yunduan, whom he tried to cultivate a closer relationship with. Madame Qiao and her daughter were clearly displeased, but they had no choice but to put on smiles and pretend to like Qiao Xian's presence. Observing their forced smiles, along with the expressions of discomfort from Qiao Ko and her mother, Qiao Xian couldn't help but feel an immense sense of satisfaction. How wonderful it was that her husband had succeeded. Wasn't it about time for them to accept it? What if her husband continued to excel and eventually became an officer in the governmental office? How would these people react then? Qiao Xian no longer felt the need to remain low profile in front of them. She was determined to confidently challenge and confront them head-on. Although it was not yet the right time to reveal everything, Qiao Xian decided to make a bold move and leave a lasting impression on Madame Qiao and her daughter. Qiao Xian dressed elegantly on that day, wearing a rose-red embroidered chrysanthemum damask double-breasted skirt and an apricot-yellow pleated skirt with silver thread embroidery. She adorned her hair with golden and emerald jade hairpins inlaid with pink tourmalines, which complemented her stunning beauty. With a light application of makeup powder and a gentle sweep of her crescent eyebrows, she radiated a natural and effortless charm. Her attire was not ostentatious, but rather tasteful and refined. Yet, as Madame Qiao and the others laid eyes on Qiao Xian, a sense of shock and discomfort filled their hearts. They had never seen her radiate such brightness before, and it made them uneasy. Qiao Xian's presence commanded attention, particularly her captivating eyes that shimmered with a mysterious allure. She seemed ethereal and otherworldly, drawing the gaze of many. Madame Qiao and the others were taken aback, utterly astonished. This was not the timid and reserved girl they were accustomed to. Qiao Xian had transformed into someone they could no longer ignore or underestimate. Officer Qiao was both surprised and pleased by his daughter's transformation. He had worried that Qiao Xian's presence might make Shao Yunduan feel disdainful. However, it appeared that his concerns were unfounded. In truth, Shao Yunduan had never harbored any disdain towards Qiao Xian. When he saw how beautifully she was dressed, it took his breath away, and his heart raced with excitement. As Madame Qiao received Qiao Xian, her demeanor was no longer that of a timid individual. She conversed with a genuine smile, exuding newfound confidence. Qiao Xian remained confident and composed, her demeanor carrying a sense of quiet strength. As she lifted her wrist, the sight of a pair of exquisite white jade bracelets caught everyone's attention. The bracelets were new, radiant, and undoubtedly expensive. Qiao Wei, who had never seen such beautiful jade bracelets before, couldn't help but sneer involuntarily. "Sister, now that you're flourishing and transformed, it seems you found support from a prominent figure," Qiao Wei remarked sarcastically. Qiao Xian maintained her smile. I am not seeking. It is just that my husband is successful and I am attached. The remark only served to further irritate the women. They believe that a woman's aspiration should be to marry a successful man and enjoy a better and more affluent life together. Madame Qiao composed herself and responded with a forced smile. One understand your perspective, but it is important for married women to show proper respect and deference to their husbands. Your casual remarks may not convey the appropriate level of respect for your husband. Qiao Xian smiled back. My husband doesn't mind. He likes me being like this. Chapter 739, Not Way to Do Madame Qiao. So I got tricked. Villain. Seeing that her own daughter was on the verge of exploding again, Madame Qiao found an excuse to separate Qiao Wei and concubine Du from the situation. Qiao Wei resisted leaving, but Auntie Ling intervened and guided her away. Now, only Madame Qiao, along with two trusted maids, Yuzhan and Rui, remained in the room with Qiao Xian and Li Qiu. Madame Qiao's demeanor suddenly turned menacing, attempting to intimidate Qiao Xian. The original host, who had grown accustomed to being bullied, would have been frightened in this situation. But Qiao Xian stood her ground, unafraid of Madame Qiao's bluff. She was totally out of control now. No one else is here, so I won't waste time on useless chatter. Shao Yunduan was just get lucky to become provincial champion. My husband's success is not mere luck. He is talented, and earning the title of provincial champion is a testament to his abilities. Qiao Xian's pride in her husband was evident, and she was determined to set the record straight. She refused to let Madame Qiao humiliate her husband any further. Interrupted by Qiao Xian's assertiveness, Madame Qiao's previously raised imposing attitude faltered. Madame Qiao gave Qiao Xian a displeased look but chose not to engage in a direct argument. Instead, she dismissively responded, "Provincial champion is just a title, far from being a real officer. Many recommended men have failed to progress beyond this point. The interview examination is not easy, and even if he manages to pass, without influential connections, financial resources, or patronage, he will only be appointed to a modest position. He will remain a minor officer, leading a quiet and unremarkable life. Old Master and your brothers hold positions in the governmental office, and we have influential connections in the capital. If Shao Yunduan wishes to navigate the bureaucratic landscape smoothly, he will require Old Master's assistance. Now you comprehend the situation, don't you?" Qiao Xian nodded. "Yes, I understand." "Good, I'm glad you've grasped it," Madame Qiao said, satisfaction evident in her voice. "Now you comprehend your role and what you must do. As a daughter of the Qiao family, if you don't have our support, even a concubine could replace you once Shao Yunduan achieves his official position. He won't hold you in high regard." Madame Qiao was speaking candidly, urging Qiao Xian not to become overly reliant on Shao Yunduan while neglecting her own family. Instead, she emphasized the importance of relying on her own family for support more than ever before. Qiao Xian maintained a smile but remained silent. Madame Qiao continued, "Just go home and contemplate it. We will visit the Yuezhing family on double ninth day. Remember, your father values our relationship with the Yuezhing family, and you mustn't jeopardize that." Qiao Xian smiled and replied, "I am clueless about what to do. You have to guide me, mother." Madame Qiao scoffed. Indeed, she was the one with plans, while Qiao Xian was deemed useless and incapable of anything. She should not rely on her for assistance. Yuzhan suddenly smiled and suggested, "Madame Qiao, Elder Miss mentioned her desire for a white jade bracelet. I think Second Miss has a beautiful pair. What if we give one to Elder Miss as a symbol of their sisterly devotion?" Rui chimed in, smiling, "I'll agree. Elder Miss has fair and elegant skin, perfect for jade ornaments." Second Miss Jade Hairpin would also compliment Elder Miss beautifully. Madame Qiao smiled but remained silent, sipping her tea. Qiao Xian understood their intentions immediately. Madame Qiao had given a grand speech, and the two maids were fanning the flames, hoping Qiao Xian would express her gratitude. Chapter 740. Madame Qiao stiffened smile. If Qiao Xian were to heed the words of the two maids and hand over the hairpin and bracelet to Qiao Wei, it would imply her willingness to abide by Madame Qiao's advice, regardless of her personal agreement with it. However, Qiao Xian had never been in alignment with Madame Qiao's viewpoints. While she understood the intention behind those words, she couldn't bring herself to concur. Qiao Xian retorted, "Sister possesses an abundance of fine possessions and does not require mine. These were originally bestowed upon me by First Madam, and I cannot bestow them upon anyone else. Mother's excessive indulgence towards you emboldens you to utter such words." Yuzhan and Rui exchanged a bewildered glance, their confusion evident. Madame Qiao's once warm smile faltered, replaced by a rigid expression. Her gaze locked onto Qiao Xian, penetrating her eyes with intensity. "Leave immediately." Yuzhan and Rui, too, sensed the overwhelming tension in the room, prompting them to bow their heads and swiftly depart, sensing the need to withdraw from the daunting atmosphere. "Qiao Xian, there is no need for pretense when there are no prying eyes. Allow me to enlighten you, your animosity should not be directed towards me, but rather towards your mother. She repulsed me by engaging in an affair with the old master while I was carrying a child, and you deserve the treatment I bestow upon you. What I've just revealed holds true, men are never dependable. The more elevated their status, the less trustworthy they become. Do you believe your life will improve once Shao Yunduan achieves greater success in the future? You are utterly mistaken. If he remains stagnant at his current position, you can lead a peaceful existence. However, should he rise even higher, what will you have to offer him to maintain his respect? Without our assistance, you possess nothing that commands his admiration. Do you truly believe it is wiser to become an adversary rather than an ally of the Qiao family? Don't be foolish." Madame Qiao possessed the ability to adapt her thinking to the circumstances at hand. She acknowledged that Shao Yunduan had the potential to achieve success, a development she could neither hinder nor control. However, she could engage in a conversation with Qiao Xian, hoping to earn her respect and garner her support instead. In the future, when an opportunity arose, she could eliminate her. Nevertheless, by earning Qiao Xian's respect, she might secure a stronger position within the Qiao family. There was nothing for her to lose. "I'll respectfully disagree with you. Why should the children bear the blame? None of us chose to be born into this situation. How can you justify that what one received from you is what I deserve?" Qiao Xian was unaware of the conflict between her mother and the concubines. She had not witnessed the events and therefore could not offer any insight. Qiao Xian had no recollection of her deceased mother and was at a loss for words regarding her. Moreover, the original host was not an enemy of Madame Qiao. If Madame Qiao disliked her, she could simply remove her from sight. There was no need for her to resort to more drastic measures such as causing her harm or even death. Qiao Xian found herself compelled to defend her own innocence. "I am uncertain whether I can retain his affections. Equally unknown is whether your assistance would be of any use to me. Let us observe what unfolds." "You?" Madame Qiao sneered. "You do have your own plans. Don't wager everything. I'll believe I want." Qiao Xian smiled. "If my husband's achievements do not surpass this level, you will naturally disregard me. However, if my husband attains significant success, you will undoubtedly seek me out, won't you?" Although she had no need for their involvement whatsoever. Madame Qiao was consumed with anger, nearly on the verge of fainting. She glared fiercely at Xiao Xian and nodded, her voice laden with resentment. I have underestimated you all these years. You have been deceiving me. Realizing that she had underestimated the daughter of this concubine, Madame Qiao felt a sense of being manipulated and toyed with. She found it difficult to catch her breath, her chest heaving. Xiao Xian, however, calmly responded, on the contrary, you have overestimated me. After all, you orchestrated this situation, didn't you? Bah! Chapter 741, Reminder. Elle would be truly intrigued to witness how far Shao Yunduan could progress without the support of the old master. Xiao Xian was taken aback. Why wouldn't my father support him? Aren't they engaged in a cheerful conversation at this very moment? Madame Qiao Xian realized that she had merely been provoking her. She had no intention of cooperating or showing respect. Do you truly believe that the old master would place his trust in him? Perhaps you should try changing your own allegiances and see if father will indeed bestow his trust upon you. Madame Qiao seethed with anger, feeling as though she was on the verge of exploding. She repeatedly reminded herself that she had grossly underestimated the girl standing before her. She had never anticipated that when Xiao Xian achieved even a minor accomplishment, she wouldn't share it with her. And at this point, Madame Qiao found herself without any means to counter her actions. While she held the title of Madame in the family, it was the old master who held the true authority. Madame Qiao couldn't go against his intentions. She could resort to lies and manipulation in their relationship, but her schemes would only succeed if Shao Yunduan failed in the spring examination. Yet, observing the old master's unwavering motivation, she dared not utter a word. What vexed Madame Qiao was the fact that Xiao Xian appeared harmless in the presence of others, making it unlikely for the old master to believe her if she were to reveal her true nature. Madame Qiao sneered in response. What use is there in being so joyful in this moment? Life is long. We shall see what unfolds in due time. Xiao Xian smiled and replied, then I kindly ask you to wait. That is precisely what I have been telling you all along. Madame Qiao shook angrily. In front of everyone else, Madame Qiao once again adorned the facade of a virtuous wife, wearing a pleasant and amiable smile. Xiao Xian appeared composed and offered a fleeting smile, refraining from uttering anything negative about Madame Qiao and instead feigning friendliness towards her. However, their true thoughts and intentions remained concealed within their hearts, unknown to those around them. Xiao Xian, in her heart, harbored complete sincerity. She owed no one and had no need to rely on anyone for assistance. Following the conclusion of the banquet, Shao Yunduan and Xiao Xian bid their farewells, waving to them before departing. On their way home, Shao Yunduan revealed to Xiao Xian that County Magistrate Qiao had gathered substantial evidence of the Zhao family's misdeeds and had successfully linked the victims together. It wouldn't be long before they took action against the Zhao family. Their intention was to completely dismantle the Zhao family, leaving no trace behind. Given the Zhao family's extensive wealth and properties, Officer Qiao even instructed Shao Yunduan to acquire any necessary assets from them when the time came. Shao Yunduan and Xiao Xian saw no cruelty in their plan to dismantle the Zhao family. They believed that the Zhao family deserved every consequence that awaited them. Due to their stroke of good fortune and the support of young Master Yunduan, as well as Shao Yunduan's title as provincial champion, the Zhao family had reluctantly let them go unscathed. A few days later, Yunduan Shao sent Chu Shan and others to their home to retrieve watermelons, lipsticks, mushrooms, and the limited edition lipsticks from the third season. Li Xia, who had been away, returned home as well. They had a limited quantity of snow fungus at the moment, but they anticipated a bountiful harvest in 2 months' time, so there was no need for immediate delivery. They had amassed an abundance of mushrooms, totaling more than 150 kilograms, and 1,300 lipsticks. Following this delivery, Qiao Xian found herself with more than 186,000 liang in her possession, bringing her closer to the impressive milestone of reaching 200,000 liang. In Yuezhing Shao's letter, it was mentioned that 2 out of the 7 dessert stores had been opened. The jelly desserts, featuring a delightful combination of fruits, nuts, crumbs, milk, or brown sugar water, were incredibly popular among customers. The refreshing texture of the jelly delighted everyone. In addition to the jelly, other desserts like mango paste, mung bean paste, red bean paste, almond walnut paste, and bean brain also experienced great success. They sold out daily, with a constant stream of guests visiting the stores. Chapter 742. Surprised and happy, Qiao Xian was overjoyed by the prospects. In just over a month, the cassavas would be ready, allowing them to expand the variety of balls and bubble teas in the dessert stores, effectively doubling their offerings once again. The creeping figs would also be ripe by then. They had a plentiful supply from the wild and an additional 200 mu at Zhang village. Thanks to her extraordinary abilities, the plants were thriving and spreading in all directions. After the harvest, they would have more than enough to sustain all 7 dessert stores for an entire year. However, Qiao Xian acknowledged that the popularity of jelly would primarily be during the hot summer months. Qiao Xian requested Shao Yunduan to write a letter back to Yuezhing Shao, informing him about the success of the dessert stores. Additionally, she asked for Yuezhing Shao's assistance in obtaining seedlings for plants such as dragon fruit, papaya, banana, pineapple, sugarcane, and tangerine oranges. Her plan was to cultivate them on the outskirts of the province. Under their attentive care, the locally grown fruits flourished. Qiao Xian was pleasantly surprised and elated by the progress. Upon their return from the province, Qiao Xian and Shao Yunduan discovered that the dragon fruits, papayas, bananas, pineapples, sugarcanes, oranges, and tangerines were already bearing fruits. Their growth was impressive, and they appeared nearly perfect in size and appearance. Qiao Xian used her superpower to enhance their growth, ensuring that the fruits maintained their size and ripened beautifully. These fruits would undoubtedly be utilized in the dessert stores, as both their juice and flesh would prove to be practical and delicious additions to the menu. Once the planting in the province was completed, Qiao Xian made the decision to sell the fresh fruits beyond just the dessert stores. However, she opted not to seek a business partner for this venture. While she could have chosen to wholesale the fruits to the Yuezhing family, she felt the need to establish her own independent holdings and not rely solely on their connections. As autumn arrived, the fruits began to grow rapidly. With everything settled and having spent a considerable amount of time in the province, they decided to embark on a mountain visit. Qi and Tao Tao were particularly excited about the prospect, and even Shao Sanlang and Yang Xiaoni, who had longed for the taste of fresh wild animals, eagerly anticipated the trip. Early in the morning, Qiao Xian, Shao Yunduan, and many others embarked on their trip into the mountains. The refreshing sight of the flourishing plants after a long time brought them joy. Along the way, they spotted fresh and delectable mushrooms, picking the juiciest ones to take along. While some wild-growing grapes, dates, and pears were too ripe to harvest, other wild fruits had reached the perfect level of ripeness for consumption. Their main focus during the trip was hunting. Qi, as he continued to grow, benefited from the family's improved lifestyle and had a hearty appetite. He had become taller and stronger compared to the previous year, displaying the silhouette of an adult and demonstrating great strength in pulling the bowstring. 2 years later, Qi would have grown to the point where he could no longer be considered a young boy. The autumn days offered an abundance of succulent prey for hunting. Qi's interests had shifted, and he no longer found satisfaction in catching roosters and rabbits, despite Shao Sanlang's persistent requests. Understanding Qiao Xian's fondness for roosters and pigeons, Qi made sure to catch some for her as well, knowing it would bring her joy. Chapter 743. In the mountain, the majority of their time was spent hunting larger prey. Qi found them particularly intriguing and believed that large ones are interesting. Qiao Xian couldn't help but be amused by Qi's growing appetite for a challenge. Curious about Qi's capabilities, Qiao Xian utilized her superpower to survey the surroundings. To her delight, she spotted well-built wild goats traversing the mountains. These goats were accustomed to navigating through forests and woodlands, resulting in their flesh having a firm and resilient texture. If they managed to successfully hunt one of these wild goats, they could even enjoy a delicious grilled meal later in the evening. Following Qiao Xian's lead, the group ventured further into the depths of the mountains. Amidst the lush shrubs and towering grass, Qi's sharp eyesight caught sight of something before anyone else did. She whispered, urging everyone to remain quiet. "There's a flock of wild goats on the south side of the valley. We need to be silent. They are incredibly cautious and will bolt at the slightest sign of danger." Aware of the agility and swiftness of wild goats, the group understood that if the goats were startled, they would swiftly flee, making it nearly impossible to catch up with them. "So we'll stay put and wait for Qi to make his move, is that the plan?" "Well, I suppose we're all in favor of the wind blowing in our direction when it comes to securing some delicious meat." Quiet. It was evident that everyone's mouths were watering at the thought of the succulent meat, and they were all eager to work together to ensure a successful hunt. Wild goats posed a formidable challenge to catch, but Qi remained undeterred. With a mischievous grin and his white teeth on display, he declared, "Wait here, I'll go and check it out." "All right, we'll eagerly await your good news," the others replied in unison, nodding in agreement. They concealed themselves, blending into the surroundings, while Qi displayed his agility, leaping alongside the rugged terrain and dense foliage. Observing Qi's movements, Qiao Xian whispered to Shao Yunduan, "It's been 2 months since we last saw him, and he has grown so much. He looks completely different now." Shao Yunduan agreed with a smile. Indeed, teenagers grow at an astonishing pace. Qi showcased his speed and agility as he closed in on the flock. With his bow drawn and a long arrow in place, he took aim. The flock, sensing an imminent threat, became alert. The leading goat raised its head and let out a shrill cry, causing the entire group to panic and scramble uphill. However, in that critical moment, Qi released the arrow. It soared through the air like a bolt of lightning, swiftly closing the distance between itself and its target. Soon, a wild goat fell to the ground, struck by Qi's arrow. The group erupted in cheers and applause. In swift succession, another arrow was released, bringing down yet another goat. Shao Sanlang and Tao Tao, filled with excitement, rushed forward to join in the celebration. Qi swiftly prepared more arrows, taking aim at the remaining goats. 2 more shots were fired, finding their mark and causing 2 additional goats to meet their end. "Brilliant shot, Qi. Your aim was impeccable. We've got 2 goats. Well done, Qi, well done. Amazing. I couldn't even keep track of how many arrows you shot. Qi, your archery skills are truly remarkable." Shao Xiaoqi blushed slightly at the compliments, shifting the focus by asking Qiao Xian a question. "Fifth sister-in-law, what should we do with these 2 large goats?" This piqued everyone's interest. "Fifth sister-in-law, how about we have grilled mutton? I've been craving it for so long. Count me in. Although one wouldn't mind having braised goat's feet too." With their mouths watering at the thought of the delicious meal, they began discussing different ways to prepare and enjoy the wild goats. Yuezhing Shao had previously gifted Shao Yunduan and Qiao Xian a generous supply of cumin powder brought from the northwest by Yuezhing Hong. This special spice would add a unique flavor to the grilled mutton, making it an instant family favorite. Chapter 744. No trouble. Qiao Xian nodded eagerly, fully in agreement. She too was salivating at the thought of the grilled mutton and had no objections to their plan. With their decision made, they wasted no time and quickly packed up the goats before heading back home. Despite the size of the wild goats, weighing approximately 75 kilograms, their team was strong and capable, making it easy for them to carry the animals. Qi confidently claimed that the larger wild goat weighed around 45 kilograms and proceeded to effortlessly carry it on his own. This left the others in awe and shock at his strength and ability. Shao Sanlang quickly interjected, "Put it down, you can't handle it alone. Let the fifth brother help you carry the weight." Qi swiftly took a step back, evading Shao Sanlang's attempt to assist him. He smiled confidently, showing no signs of embarrassment. "No need, third brother. One can manage on my own. I'll ask for help if I need it, but for now, you don't have to worry." Shao Yunduan chimed in, concerned for his younger brother's well-being. "Don't push yourself too hard. You're still young, and you could risk injuring yourself." Qi maintained his smile, undeterred. "Third brother, fifth brother, you underestimate me. Have your conversation, and I'll take care of this myself." Determined to prove himself, the young Qi walked away with the goats, not waiting for his brothers to catch up. Shao Yunduan shook his head in a mixture of amusement and concern. Worried about any potential accidents, he didn't want to risk further delays and quickly joined in, shouldering the other goat. By the time they arrived home, it was just past lunchtime. Closing the door behind them, they wasted no time in processing the two goats. Qiao Xian took special care to prepare a pot of fresh goat intestine soup. In addition, she rolled out noodles for dinner and added them to the soup to cook. Fresh mountain mushrooms were included, and a layer of chili oil, chopped green onions, and coriander adorned the dish. The result was a warm and flavorful soup that delighted the senses. As they busied themselves with preparations, the anticipation for the grilled meat at dinner began to grow. They carefully selected the most tender mutton and sliced it into pieces of medium thickness. These slices were then marinated with a variety of spices, while fish and shrimp were also prepared alongside of freshly killed chicken. A selection of vegetables was also gathered, ensuring a well-rounded meal. With everything else in order, Qiao Xian pondered for a moment before heading to the garden. There, she plucked 2 large dragon fruits and 2 ripe watermelons. She instructed Tao Tao to make some red bean paste, while young Xiaoni prepared a bowl of finely chopped nut crumbs. In addition, they boiled brown sugar water and set aside a large basin of jelly. To create a delectable dessert, they cut the fruit into bite-sized pieces and added a generous spoonful of soft, sweet red bean paste. Crispy chopped nuts were sprinkled over the top, and a drizzle of mint juice added a refreshing touch. To complete the dish, each person added jelly according to their own preferences. The result was a delightful combination of flavors and textures that perfectly complemented the grilled feast. Their only regret was the absence of ice cubes, which would have enhanced the overall taste and experience. They had heard that saltpeter could be used to make ice, but Qiao Xian was unsure of the process and had no means of obtaining saltpeter. She decided to discuss this matter with Yuezhing Shao, hoping to find a solution. Given the large number of people in the family, the remaining meat, after removing other side dishes, was not a substantial amount. It could only be stored for a few days. They distributed approximately 5 kilograms of meat to each of the second and third sections of the family. Despite receiving a relatively small portion, neither section complained and accepted the meat graciously. Ms. Fang observed this scene with great joy, appreciating the spirit of harmony and sharing within the family. As their lives continued to improve, Shao Yunduan's prospects for success grew brighter. Ms. Fang, being an open-minded person, didn't bother with petty disagreements as long as she remained content. However, this condition was contingent upon them not causing her any trouble. Qiao Xian found a reason to invite Ms. Yan to her home, allowing her to join the first section of the family in enjoying the grilled food and jelly. With Ms.Zhang gone, Ms. Yan shouldered more responsibilities, but she felt a sense of comfort in her life. Therefore, she happily accepted Qiao Xian's invitation. Chapter 745, Shao Lulang's Misery. Translator. Henyi translations. Qiao Xian's decision to invite Ms. Yan was influenced by her desire to exclude Shao Miling from the gathering. She held unfavorable opinions about both Shao Xiaozhi and Shao Miling, and she wanted to avoid any potential conflicts or discomfort among the family members. By extending the invitation to Ms. Yan, Qiao Xian ensured that Shao Miling would not be inclined to join the gathering. If Shao Miling were present, it would likely lead to the inclusion of Shao Xiaozhi as well. However, by having a specific matter to discuss with Ms. Yan, which conveniently required her to spend more time with the first section of the family, everything would appear natural and without any forced interactions. The presence of Ms. Yan as a daughter-in-law in the second section of the family was highly valued by the members of the first section. Her influence had a positive impact on Ms. Nyuan's second uncle, who were noticeably less rude in their behavior. This change in attitude was largely due to the success of the Yan family's tofu workshop, where both of Ms. Yan's sons were making money. This financial success improved the perception of Ms. Yan and her family, and as a result, second uncle and Ms. Nyo were more inclined to treat them with respect. While the first section of the family could offer them employment opportunities as well, the impact of the offer coming directly from the Yan family was significantly different. If the Yan family offered job opportunities, the second section of the family would be filled with gratitude and would never dare to be critical or lazy. They understood the value of the Yan family's support and recognized that it was a privilege to receive employment from them. On the other hand, if the job offer came from the first section of the family, the second section would be more inclined to complain about low pay and harbor jealousy, potentially causing significant trouble within the family dynamics. With her unwavering clarity and the backing of her powerful family, Ms. Yan commanded strong authority within the second section of the family. As a result, the members of the first section were more than willing to spend time and socialize with her. They would always make sure to include Ms. Yan in their own activities, valuing her presence and considering her an important member of their gatherings. During the gift-giving occasion, Ms. Fang even presented an additional pair of gold bracelets to Ms. Yan, highlighting her significance within the family. Meanwhile, Shao Liulang had recently returned from his friend's house, still harboring resentment towards Shao Yunduan and the first section of the family. However, the members of the first section showed little concern for him, except for eldest uncle. Third uncle accidentally informed eldest uncle about Shao Lulang's return, knowing his genuine worry for his nephew. Eldest uncle, genuinely concerned for Shao Lulang's well-being, wasted no time and promptly visited the third section of the family to check on him. Shao Lulang's annoyance and misery intensified as he observed the behavior of the first section of the family. He believed that they were nothing more than bullies, and he had no intention of forgiving them easily for their actions. Eldest uncle's genuine concern and attempts to communicate with him only served to exacerbate Shao Lulang's misery. He firmly held on to his belief that he had every reason to harbor hatred towards the first section of the family. Consequently, Shao Liulang maintained a cold and unfriendly attitude towards eldest uncle, refusing to engage in a constructive conversation. Adding to his emotions, Ms. Ma and third uncle fueled the fire by supporting Shao Lulang's perspective, further diminishing his anger towards the first section of the family. Pleased with the turn of events, eldest uncle expressed his satisfaction. "Liulang, your cousin is here at home, and you can spend time talking with him whenever you're free. We are family, and together we can overcome any challenges. Your future will be brighter as we support each other." Initially, eldest uncle intended to say, "You can learn a lot from your cousin since you're a smart individual. You have the potential to become a cultivated talent and a recommended individual too." However, he recalled how angry Shao Liulang had become in the past when he mentioned this, so he decided to alter his words. The fact that Xiao Liulang had a provincial champion as his cousin made everyone from the college envious. They couldn't help but feel jealous, knowing that he had the privilege of seeking advice from such an accomplished individual whenever he pleased. However, Xiao Liulang remained unaffected by eldest uncle's words. He replied bitterly, Don't dare to disturb my cousin. He's different now. Unless he personally asks to meet me, I won't show up. Eldest uncle found Xiao Liulang's response somewhat reasonable and attempted to appease the situation with a smile. Liulang, we're family. Yunduan is a provincial champion and your cousin. It's only natural for him to meet you. You don't need to set so many conditions. Xiao Liulang sneered in response. Not wanting to dwell on the matter with Xiao Liulang, eldest uncle genuinely cared about his nephew's feelings. He nodded and said, All right then, I'll ask your cousin to invite you for tea. Chapter 746, Confidence Henyi Translation. Xiao Liulang's condition had finally improved. Upon the elder uncle's return, he shared the news with Xiao Yunduan, urging his son to pay a visit to the third branch of the family whenever he had the opportunity. The intention was to bring Xiao Liulang back home for a pleasant conversation. Liulang is feeling down, and as his cousin, it's important not to exacerbate the situation. Your role should be one of support and consolation. Yunduan, I'm delighted that you've achieved success, but it would bring immense honor to our family if both of you could pursue education and excel in the examinations. Xiao Yunduan nonchalantly nodded, not even inclined to argue with his father. Why should he be the one to reach out and engage Xiao Liulang in conversation? Being older and having achieved the title of provincial champion, there was a substantial disparity between them, both in terms of family hierarchy and official status. Xiao Liulang had never bothered to offer his congratulations after Yunduan's triumph as provincial champion. Neither had he shown any warmth or kindness. And now, his father expected Yunduan to go out of his way to bring Xiao Liulang for a discussion. Furthermore, his father expected him to provide consolation and encouragement to Xiao Liulang. His father seemed remarkably assured of its effectiveness. But would mere words of comfort and encouragement truly make a difference? Xiao Yunduan hadn't really contemplated this matter since then. After savoring roasted mutton and wild goat, and relishing the rare delicacy of dragon fruit from the south, they ventured into the mountains for several days. Rather than hunting animals, which would yield more food than they could consume, they focused on gathering an abundant harvest to take back home. With mushrooms, yams, and lilies carefully stored, the family became occupied with the task of sun-drying their precious findings. A wide variety of fresh mushrooms were utilized to create delectable dishes such as stewed chicken with mountain mushrooms, fried meat, stir-fries, soups, and hot pots. Each preparation was bursting with flavor. They managed to gather the final batch of honey from the flower fields, which would last for 2 more months and serve as a key ingredient in making lip balm. While Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan were engrossed in their harvesting tasks, County Magistrate Qiao meticulously arranged everything to initiate an attack against the Zhao family. County Magistrate Qiao had made thorough preparations, and when the victims filed their reports, the officers swiftly took control of the Zhao family members. Madame Zhao remained oblivious to the situation, but upon learning of it, she instructed Zhao Guanyin to offer County Magistrate Qiao a bribe in order to resolve the matter and suppress the reports. It was absurd that old cases were being dredged up and reported. It seemed like a joke. However, Zhao Guanyin found himself trapped within the confines of the Zhao family estate. Guards stationed outside the gate prevented anyone, including the mistresses, masters, and servants, from leaving unless they were purchasing food. They awaited Officer Qiao's summons. Zhao Guanjin's attempts to bribe the guards with 50 liang proved futile, leaving him bitter and frustrated. Madame Zhao grew furious and contemplated forcing her way out. Yet, the guards, aware of her social standing, responded by brandishing their blades. The sight of the gleaming blades shattered Madame Zhao's resolve, causing her to crumble in defeat. She no longer dared to make any further attempts. What on earth is happening? There must be someone orchestrating all of this. Madame Zhao exclaimed, consumed by anger. Zhao Guanyin wore a bitter smile and let out a sigh. Mom, don't you see? It's the Shao family behind all of this. Madame Zhao was taken aback. How could that be? The Shao family may have a provincial champion, but he shouldn't have the power to do this. But Officer Qiao happens to be the father-in-law of the provincial champion. Zhao Guanyin nearly shouted, shocking Madame Zhao. Zhao Guanyin let out a weary sneer. Now do you understand, Mom? The Shao family is far from ordinary. Visiting the Shao family was out of the question, they would likely respond with physical violence. Zhao Guanjin's presence would only exacerbate the situation further. It seemed that their only hope for survival lay with the women from their own family, who might have a chance at eliciting sympathy through desperate pleas. Chapter 747, at Dorhenyi translation. Surely, as fellow human beings, the Shao family would spare their lives even if they did not offer forgiveness, right? It was unimaginable that they would resort to such extreme measures. County Magistrate Qiao's actions were pushing the Zhao family to the brink of destruction, akin to being backed against a precipice. Madame Zhao, overcome with panic, directed her curses at County Magistrate Qiao and the Shao family. Desperately, she pleaded, "Your father is not here. You must find a solution. Our family will become a laughingstock if we are surrounded by government officials." Zhao Guanyin cast a disappointed gaze upon his mother, shaking his head in resignation. He turned away and departed. His disappointment grew even deeper. His mother seemed oblivious to the gravity of the situation, fixated instead on the family's reputation. While Zhao Guanyin was still simmering with annoyance, the guards abruptly stormed in, attempting to apprehend Zhao Guanghua. Zhao Guanghua was the weakest link, prone to troublemaking and exhibiting careless behavior. His numerous flaws made him an easy target. In the past, the Zhao family's immense wealth and their association with County Magistrate Qiao shielded them from any consequences, preventing anyone from raising objections to Zhao Guanghua's misconduct. When Officer Qiao made the decision to have him arrested, there were numerous justifications at his disposal, and it was up to him to choose which one to employ against Zhao Guanghua. Madame Zhao cried out in desperation, attempting to intervene and halt the proceedings, but her pleas fell on deaf ears. The guards were under strict orders, and they paid no heed to Madame Zhao's words. Zhao Guanghua had been brazenly boasting and issuing threats, exclaiming, "Just wait and see. I'll have you all killed." However, these words only further incensed the guards, solidifying their determination to bring misery upon him. They swiftly bound his hands behind his back and escorted him away, showing no sympathy for his pleas. It was only then that fear engulfed Zhao Guanghua, and he cried out loudly, desperately calling for his mother and brother to come to his aid. Madame Zhao's cries were filled with anguish as tears streamed down her face. The mansion descended into chaos. "Guanyin, Guanyin, please save your brother. Hurry, save him." Madame Zhao pleaded, gasping for breath as she desperately clung to her son's sleeves. He has been spoiled all his life and has never endured such suffering. Zhao Guanyin felt a profound weariness. He instructed his wife and maidservants to assist his mother back to her room, recognizing that she needed to regain her composure. He was determined to find a solution to save the Zhao family, as its fate seemed destined for ruin. Upon receiving the letter from home, the old master Zhao finally returned. Furious, old master Zhao hurriedly returned home, only to be intercepted and escorted away by the guards stationed at the door. Old master Zhao seethed with anger. Those very people who had once treated him with kindness, hoping to gain favors and tips from him, were now treating him with such disdain. Moreover, Officer Qiao had benefited greatly from his association with old Master Zhao, yet he was now intent on bringing him down. County Magistrate Qiao, driven by his desire for wealth and to do Shao Yunduan a favor, had made the decision to sever their ties completely, showing no mercy. Before long, old Master Zhao was forcibly taken away by the guards, finally reuniting with his younger son. Old Master Zhao had already been taken away, and by the time Zhao Guanyin reached the doorstep, it was too late. A deep sense of despair washed over Zhao Guanjin's heart, plunging it into the depths of despair. It appeared that Officer Qiao had no intention of forgiving or sparing the Zhao family. Despite Zhao Guanjin's innocence and lack of wrongdoing, it no longer mattered. His father and brother were now captured, and it was only a matter of time before he would be as well. Even though he had committed no wrongdoing, being the eldest son of the Zhao family meant he could never escape the consequences that befell them. Chapter 748, Begging for Forgiveness. Henyi translations. The next day, the case was brought before the court, and he could no longer tolerate the situation. That very night, Zhao Guanyin disguised himself as a servant of the mansion, dressed in appropriate attire. He used a ladder to climb over the wall and embarked on a journey to Shouting Village. He was always certain about one thing. He knew the root cause of all these troubles. If only the Shao family, or specifically Shao Yunduan, could show some mercy, everything could be turned around. Late at night, Zhao Guanyin knocked on the door, causing a startle among the family members. Shao Yunduan allowed him inside to have a conversation in the courtyard. With clenched teeth, Zhao Guanyin knelt down before Shao Yunduan and pleaded, "Provincial Champion Shao, I beg you, show us mercy." Unmoved by the plea, Shao Yunduan spoke quietly, "Zhao Guanghua didn't spare us when he committed his actions against us." Shao Yunduan couldn't help but imagine the devastating consequences if the same incident had befallen young Xiaoni. How would his third brother be affected? What about their parents? This once harmonious family would have been shattered into fragments. Even if he were to achieve a high-ranking position in the government, he would never be able to experience a harmonious family again. It would forever remain an insurmountable barrier in his heart. Filled with remorse, Zhao Guanyin uttered with guilt, "I'm sorry, I failed to teach him well." Shao Yunduan remained silent. Zhao Guanjin's voice trembled as he said, "I'm willing to surrender half of the Zhao family's properties." He. Zhao Guanyin let out a bitter laugh, realizing the absurdity of his own words. What good would it do to share only half of the properties? The entire Zhao family's wealth would end up in the hands of County Magistrate Qiao and the Shao family. Half of it would be meaningless. He clenched his fists, determination in his eyes. "Provincial Champion, I intend to leave this county with my family, far away from here. I swear that we will never set foot in this place again." Finally, Shao Yunduan showed a hint of interest. "Where do you plan to go?" Zhao Guanyin felt a surge of motivation. He knew he had struck the right chord. Knowing that he had to leave his hometown and settle elsewhere, Zhao Guanyin didn't allow himself to dwell on the thought. He quickly replied, "We plan to go to Linjia County." Linjia County and Heshan County were located far apart, in opposite directions. Their paths would never cross again in their lives. Shao Yunduan remained silent for a moment before speaking, "Keep your family within your sight. If you make another move, one won't show any mercy." Zhao Guanyin had no choice but to agree. "I'll understand. Thank you for sparing me, Provincial Champion Shao." Zhao Guanyin expressed his gratitude, stood up, and returned to where he came from. Shao Yunduan went back to his room and found Qiao Xian sitting against the headboard, yawning. As he returned, Qiao Xian was no longer drowsy and asked, heard elder young Master Zhao was here. Was he begging for mercy? What did he say? It's a pity that he's the only sensible person in the Zhao family. Shao Yunduan sneered, if he truly were sensible, he wouldn't have allowed his brother to commit all these acts. A family should stand united and share both honor and misery. He doesn't even grasp this concept. Qiao Xian also smiled. Yes, dear, you will have to take care of our family more from now on. Yes, thankfully our mother has a clear mind. Qiao Xian agreed. It was true, but unfortunately, their father's mind was not as clear. Yunduan was becoming more determined in opposing his father, working hard to correct his impractical ideas and prevent him from making any further mistakes. Yunduan informed Qiao Xian about Zhao Guanjian's decision, and Qiao Xian couldn't help but admire his resoluteness. The Zhao family needed to stay as far away as possible, in case they continued to cause trouble for their family. He believed he had acquired enough knowledge and could continue studying on his own at home. Perhaps, after the new year, he would enroll in another college in a neighboring country to pursue his studies. He had been eagerly anticipating Shao Yunduan's visit, as promised by the elder uncle. He had practiced countless times how he would treat Shao Yunduan, intending to make him speak kindly to him. However, Shao Yunduan never showed up. Liulang was furious. Ms.Zhang's heart was shattered. In defense of her son, she went to the first section of the family, seeking to accuse Shao Yunduan. But Ms. Fang drove her away, further fueling her anger. Filled with anger and resentment, Liulang hurled curses at Shao Yunduan, calling him evil and arrogant. He vowed to become a cultivated talent, a recommended man, and ultimately an advanced scholar, just so he could humiliate Shao Yunduan and make him regret his actions for the rest of his life. Regarding his eldest uncle, Liulang felt deceived and manipulated. Eldest uncle had lied to him. He no longer believed in his authority or respected him as a senior. He refused to trust his words any longer. Chapter 750, Liulang's dream. Filled with anger and resentment, Liulang heard that Zhao Ming, the elder miss from the Zhao family, was visiting. Surprisingly, his fury turned into excitement. He quickly put on a clean robe, tidied his hair, and confidently walked out to meet Zhao Ming, hoping to make a good impression. Greetings, elder Miss Zhao, he greeted her with feigned charm. Zhao Ming had been waiting in the hall of the second section of the Shao family, feeling irritated and resentful. She had been scrutinizing him and enduring his endless questions. She was growing increasingly annoyed. If it weren't for her family's troubles, she wouldn't have bothered to deal with Ms.Zhang. She despised her from the bottom of her heart. Cursing silently, she started to question whether her decision to approach Liulang was a mistake. His pretentious behavior only intensified her disgust. Young Master Shao, can we have a private conversation? Zhao Ming asked, trying to suppress her disgust and maintain a soft demeanor. Of course. Liulang was taken aback by her request but delighted at the same time. He nodded eagerly and smiled, saying, "Please tell me anything. Mom, please give us some privacy." Ms.Zhang wasn't too pleased with the situation. She smiled and replied, "But we're a family, aren't we? Why can't I be part of the conversation?" Since they were the only ones present, Ms.Zhang assumed that this girl must have developed feelings for her son. "Mom, please just give us some space. Elder Miss Shao might feel uncomfortable with you here," Liulang pleaded, giving his mother a meaningful look. What was she doing here anyway? Acting as a third wheel. With her presence, Zhao Ming wouldn't be able to freely express her thoughts, and their conversation would be constrained. Ms.Zhang finally grasped the situation and understood Liulang's intentions. "All right then," she said, getting up from her seat. "I'll guess I'm just out of touch. I'll leave you two to chat. Take your time." With a smile, Ms.Zhang seemed to be aware of everything and left the room, giving her son a knowing look. Zhao Ming felt humiliated and furious. She blushed with anger at the thought of being mistaken for someone interested in a rural woman like Ms. Ma. She was the elder niece of the prestigious Shao family, and being associated with the Shao family in this manner was deeply frustrating. She had to restrain herself from cursing Ms. Ma and Xiao Liulang out of sheer anger. Unaware of Zhao Ming's true emotions, both Ms. Ma and Xiao Liulang misinterpreted her blushing as shyness. They exchanged glances and smiled proudly. Indeed, Ms. Ma felt a sense of pride. Her son appeared to be so capable that a wealthy young lady had come to his door personally. Lady Zhao certainly had a knack for choosing the right man. Xiao Liulang felt a surge of pride as he looked at Zhao Ming with affection. He was about to express his feelings with sweet and romantic words when Zhao Ming interrupted him abruptly. She urged Xiao Liulang to help her talk to provincial champion Shao, requesting his assistance in granting them mercy and allowing them to be left alone. However, Xiao Liulang was completely unaware of the situation. He hadn't been to the county city in a while and had secluded himself at home, oblivious to what was happening around him. He was clueless about the troubles the Zhao family was facing. Similarly, Ms. Ma was in the dark as well. She only knew that young Xiaoni had nearly fallen victim to a womanizer, but she had never connected this incident to Lady Zhao or her current plea. He spoke with a self-righteous tone, imparting moral lessons and admonishing them for their alleged bullying. Simply because Shao Yunduan had achieved the recommended man, Shao Sanlang could no longer contain his anger. He impulsively lunged forward and delivered a forceful punch to Xiao Liulang's face, causing him to stumble backward and accuse him of being a traitor. Ms. Fang was taken aback by the sudden outburst. Concerned that Shao Sanlang might inflict serious harm, she and others swiftly intervened to restrain him. Shao Yunduan stepped in to assist, his expression grave. He firmly pulled Xiao Liulang away, demanding an explanation. What had driven him to defend the Zhao family? Even if he held disdain for the first section of the family, he should still possess a sense of integrity. Xiao Liulang's fury persisted as he continued to lecture Xiao Yunduan, expressing his discontent. Only then did Xiao Yunduan realize that perhaps Xiao Liulang had no knowledge of the actual situation. He probed further with additional questions, but the answers only deepened his confusion. Nothing seemed to align. Xiao Yunduan was rendered speechless. How could he, someone living in the village, be oblivious to the actions of the Zhao family? It was as if he were a recluse. For a brief moment, Xiao Yunduan was at a loss for words, unsure of how to respond. However, as he realized that Xiao Liulang was interrogating him without any knowledge of the situation, a sense of relief washed over him. Chapter 752. Nothing. Xiao Yunduan began recounting the entire incident, but before he could finish, Xiao Liulang interrupted him abruptly. That's impossible. If you want, you can go and inquire about it, Xiao Yunduan responded calmly. Xiao Liulang fell silent. Deep down, he didn't want to accept the truth. However, he knew Xiao Yunduan wasn't lying, and there was no reason for him to lie. Could it be a misunderstanding? Xiao Liulang questioned hesitantly. Xiao Yunduan sneered. Cousin, have you forgotten why Zhao Guanghua was transferred back here from the provincial college? Xiao Liulang struggled to find his words and finally burst out, he must have been framed. Xiao Yunduan couldn't help but feel that Xiao Liulang was adept at convincing himself with fabricated stories. Then go ahead and ask the land officer and the elderly men at Yang village if what happened is true. Do you think they all conspired to frame Zhao Guanghua? Xiao Yunduan challenged. Xiao Liulang was left speechless. It was evident that he had entertained this idea because he didn't fully trust his cousin. Shao Yunduan had no intention of continuing the conversation. He firmly reiterated that his stance wouldn't change. He even warned Shao Liulang to stay out of this matter, or else he would face the consequences of Shao Sanlang's punches. The thought of Shao Sanlang's punches sent a shiver down Shao Liulang's spine, and he dared not argue further. However, he made one last attempt to persuade Shao Yunduan to forgive the Zhao family for their actions, suggesting that they should reconcile with them as they were all part of the same family. Shao Yunduan couldn't help but find this excuse ridiculous and strange, and he stared at Shao Liulang in disbelief. Finally, after all of this, Shao Liulang revealed the truth to Shao Yunduan. He confessed that he and Zhao Ming were in love and that she was going to be the daughter-in-law of the Shao family, so they were all family now. Shao Yunduan was taken aback by the revelation. He realized that Zhao Ming was currently at the second section of the family. That was the reason Shao Liulang had come to interrogate them. The audacity of the Zhao family was astonishing. The Zhao family has no intention of marrying their daughter to you. You should forget about this. If they truly wanted their daughter to marry you, they wouldn't have sent Lady Zhao alone to your doorstep. That's not how marriages are arranged. Marriages were traditionally arranged by parents and matchmakers. Yet here was the girl, without any parental presence or matchmakers. However, Shao Liulang remained fixated on his own perspective, refusing to listen to anything else. In a fit of anger, Shao Liulang erupted. He stomped his feet and sneered, "No, you don't want me to live a happy life or have a good wife. I want compromise on this, and no one will ruin my marriage." Shao Liulang stormed out in a fit of anger. Shao Yunduan proceeded to explain everything to his mother and third brother, not wanting them to be distressed by the actions of their family. As expected, Ms. Fang, Shao Sanlang, and young Xiaoni learned that Shao Liulang had been influenced by Lady Zhao Ming's words and had come seeking justice among them. This provided some consolation, albeit the situation was still hurtful. "What a foolish man. Don't let his words affect you," Ms. Fang remarked. Shao Sanlang scoffed, "He's completely unreliable. What has he learned all these years?" Qiao Xian chimed in with a smile, "You gave him a good punch, third brother. He deserved it." Laughter filled the room as everyone agreed. Meanwhile, as Shao Liulang departed from the first section of the family, he suddenly came to a halt. How would he explain the situation to Zhao Ming after his impulsive actions? Chapter 753, Beautiful and Heart. Shao Liulang deeply regretted his impulsive behavior. He realized that trying to reason with Shao Yunduan in a calm manner would be futile at this point. Thoughts of his eldest uncle resurfaced in his mind. Despite swearing never to trust his uncle again and cutting off communication with him, he couldn't help but see his eldest uncle as his last resort. Thus, he made the decision to humble himself and seek his assistance once more. However, when he arrived at his uncle's home, he learned that his uncle was out tending to the cows and donkeys. Ever since they acquired the cows and donkeys, his uncle took great joy in caring for them and overseeing their well-being. Shao Liulang felt a sense of joy as he observed the cows and donkeys in the distance. His uncle would often take them to the mountains to graze on grass. Sometimes he would even ride the donkey and spend considerable time away from home. He rarely returned early. Since he couldn't locate his uncle, Shao Liulang decided to compose himself and head back home. Confronted by Zhao Ming's affectionate gaze and overwhelmed by his own desires, Shao Liulang couldn't bring himself to tell her about his failure in the task. Instead, he vaguely assured her that he would ensure everything went smoothly. Zhao Ming, being somewhat naive herself, either willingly ignored the gaps in his explanation or simply wanted to hear what she desired. She refrained from probing further, as delving deeper would only lead to more questions. Relieved by her acceptance, Zhao Ming expressed her gratitude with a smile. In that moment, Liulang found himself motivated and began to believe that his words held some truth. The girl thanked him, and the boy modestly expressed himself, as if their exchange represented a genuine occurrence. Liulang was convinced that Zhao Ming was falling in love with him. Filled with motivation, he mustered the courage to express his affection for her and proclaimed his desire to marry her. To his surprise, Zhao Ming was dumbfounded and flushed with embarrassment. She wished she could slap Liulang and make him disappear. If it weren't for the problem the Zhao family faced that day, she would never have sought his help. How dare someone like Liulang entertain the idea of marrying her? He had merely been a source of mockery in the past. Who did he think he was? He was never deserving of her. Furious and humiliated, Zhao Ming refrained from directly blaming Liulang. Instead, she hurriedly left without providing clear answers to his questions. Liulang, however, interpreted her hasty departure as a sign of her shyness, which only boosted his ego. Eager to flaunt his supposed victory, he shared the news with his mother, hoping she would arrange a matchmaker to propose to the Zhao family. They can't stand the thought of us having a wealthy daughter-in-law. We will find a matchmaker and go to the Zhao family for the proposal regardless. Let the first section of the family do whatever they want. Liulang worriedly expressed, but old Master Zhao and brother Shao are still in prison. Is it the right time for the proposal? Ms. Ma was taken aback. What? No, the first section of the family must do us this favor. We can ask Ms. Qiao to speak to her father about it. Liulang sneered, casting a cold glare at Ms. Ma. He was well aware of that. But if Yunduan didn't want the proposal to go forward, would his wife dare to defy him? Third uncle chimed in, the Zhao family has already come and apologized. What more does the first section of the family want? It was just a misunderstanding, and nothing happened to Ms.Zhang. Liulang nodded in agreement, exactly. It's all a misunderstanding. Lady Zhao claims it was the fault of the servants. I never imagined Brother Shao would be involved in such things. Absolutely. Third uncle exclaimed with a smile. Let's discuss this with eldest uncle. They're too hot-headed right now to listen to reason. Well, come back tomorrow. Ms. Ma pursed her lips and grumbled, why not now? Ever since Yunduan became a recommended man, the first section of the family has become so arrogant. Yes, that's true. Third uncle's tone turned sour. Secretly, he admitted that he would probably become arrogant too if his own son achieved the recommended status. Little did they know that after Zhao Ming left Shouting Village, Yunduan had already set off for the county city. You're tuning in to the Path of the True Immortal YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.